Well, boys, thanks for joining us.
Hello.
Thank you for having us.
Are you well?
Yeah.
Well enough.
So, running a cinema and having your own movie podcast, it's like a perfect combination. Must be pretty awesome.
From an outside point of view, yes.
Do tell.
I don't know, it's strange, isn't it? Because it started off as the podcast anyway, started off very much as we talk a lot and a lot of shit as well. So, but yeah, possibly too much, and realised that, well, you know, we talk about film a lot. We might as well record it.
Podcasts are getting popular.
Yeah. I mean,
Were you both podcast listeners? Is that whose idea was it?
It was yours. It was definitely yours, wasn't it? I poo-pooed the idea. I was like, nah, people won't want that.
Do people want it?
But it's quite anonymous though, so there's no one knows you, so it's just your voice and your opinion. So
That's true, but I mean, from my own personal viewpoint, I put across too much of myself. If people want to come with the pitchforks, they'll easily find me.
Nah, but that's what the internet's for. Putting your opinion out there. Who cares what anyone else thinks?
Well, yes.
Well,
You watch films all the time, so
We do.
So people should, to some degree, value your opinion. It's just, and at the end of it, it's just an opinion.
Well, that's true, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think anyone's taking it too seriously. It's like if they like it, they like it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, definitely I say things that come across as atrocities.
Have you had much feedback from anyone?
No one has ever come up to me and said I shouldn't say that, so that's why I've got away with it for so long. I used to be the film critic on BBC Radio Cumbria, and was obviously not allowed to say
Too opinionated.
Yeah, you had to. I had to. They kept to keep reminding me, saying, "Look, a lot of our demographic is old pensioners," and it's like, "Fine, that's okay." And then it just always felt like my hands were a bit tied, and then and that was done live as well. So but I was
Pressure.
I was so well behaved.
But
And
did
then
you struggle not to swear?
I never swore once.
Wow.
It didn't end because I one day said something.
Because you swear
horrible.
quite a lot on the podcast.
I do swear a lot. I'm on my best behaviour today, though.
Oh, you can say what you want. You can swear, we don't care.
That's all right then.
Yeah, but I reminded myself last night of how much I do end up cutting out. Like, if anyone listens to the podcast and thinks, God, you cut things out,
I
and
had
yet
no
these
idea.
things you do leave
I had no
in.
idea.
Yeah.
I've been listening. Well, since Tim's been on, I've been listening since then.
Okay.
And I didn't pick up that you edited.
There is some atrocities that we just have to remove.
Did we used to edit more? I feel like now recently we've been okay. It's more of a stream.
There was a thing recently where we said something terrible that was speculation about a very famous actor, and I found out before it went live that something had happened in regards to that was just bone-chillingly terrible.
Okay.
And I
So
won't
you
go into
speculated on
details.
something, but it turned out it was right. Kind
No.
of.
It was something else happened to one of the parties involved, and I just felt we couldn't put that out there, so that is
Right.
gone for good, and I won't go into details now.
No, that's fine, because we don't really edit this at all. Like, unless I don't think we've had to edit a guest because they've said something like, "Well, we can't put that out. That's horrific." The only other thing is, like, if someone mentions something personal that they maybe didn't want to mention or they shouldn't have, or like where we actually are, the location, because it's not our location, so we don't want people to know where it is.
Yeah,
which is fair
fine.
enough. But other than that, you probably count one hand out of 2 years the times we've had to like, I've just cut that bit out. There was a couple of times when the set of ladders fell over when Matt Adamson was here the first time.
Did it?
Something. I remember in the background we all shit ourselves. I just remember, what the hell was that? And then there was one time there was loads of people outside when the shoe just turned up. We were like, what the hell's going on here?
Oh, there was kids that came in.
Yeah, we were like, what? Where's this kid coming from? And then they just left. We were like, okay. I think I cut that out because it was just pointless. But no, so when did you start the podcast then?
When did we start it? We started. It
It's
was
nearly 3 years ago now.
Yeah, it was before. Do you remember when they did the female reboot of Ghostbusters?
Yeah, I actually just watched that a couple of weeks ago for the first time because it was on Now TV or something. I thought, oh, I'll watch it.
Yeah, well, we definitely started before that because our first show had something to do with the
It did because I went
trailers.
back and watched that. I
Yeah.
went back and listened to that. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely predates that. And
I think that had just been announced. Then.
Yes,
it just
yeah.
been announced. I think that's what you were talking about.
And our argument was like, just wait and see. Let's just calm down.
Yeah, people
and
are
wait
far
and see
too
what happens.
opinionated before something's even
Yeah.
even
I think
come
that
out.
was the thing, though, wasn't it? You hear a lot of film podcasts talking about it and speculating, but no one was going, just wait, or just.
They're already poo-pooing it before it's come
before-
out.
Yeah.
I mean, what did you guys think of it? I thought it was all right.
Yeah.
I didn't think it was terrible.
Yeah, think I enjoyed it more than you. Is that fair?
Yeah, still I enjoyed it. I just
Yeah.
felt it was a bit separate from everything.
Yeah.
A bit too separate from the other Ghostbusters.
It felt like
which
it could
was
have
fine.
been Ghostbusters, but something else. Like maybe
Yes.
not necessarily a reboot, or it's just like an alternate version kind of thing.
Well,
It's a separate thing.
I got the Blu-ray, which it's longer. It's got
Right.
like some of the loose ends are tied up nicer in this longer version, and there's harsher swearing in this Blu-ray version.
Right.
And I was like, well, they should have just released that one because
Well,
it was far
yeah.
superior.
But if it was it an 18?
No, it was a 50.
Oh, that's probably why then.
But
Because you get the more audience if it's
Yeah.
in the middle somewhere, don't you?
and because they know they were fighting a losing battle by having all-female Ghostbusters, it's like, right, you're gonna have to lower it to get as much money as possible.
I
as
think,
you
do you
say.
think that's happening now? People are not going to see it at the cinema and wait until it comes out on Blu-ray because they get all the extras and they get extended cuts.
So
and-
sometimes Batman vs Superman was another one that the Blu-ray release was quite different to what we saw in cinemas. It's still not a great film, but
Yeah.
it's better.
it would make
It does make more sense,
Yeah.
definitely. So, but that was closer to 3 hours. So
Oh, right.
it's this argument of
Well, Titanic did it. Just have an interval if you have a long film.
yeah.
I don't think that takes anything away from. I mean, it's a strange thing because we talk about Blu-ray releases a lot. There's some big kind of distributors now in terms of Arrow Video and Eureka and things like that, where they put out these packages that are just full and whole, and it might be something that's like a trashy film from the 80s or something newer. But to have something that's whole, that's got interviews with people,
All
and
the
got
extra
whole
stuff that's
extras.
never been released before. And stuff
But,
like
but
that.
also, they've looked at these old tat films and gone, well, there's no special features for this because it was shot in the 80s. So they just track down all these
just get them to do
people.
what interviews now.
Yeah, they're now just bags of dust, old people, but they're like saying,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, we're great," and you get these ladies who were just exceptionally hot in the 80s, but now they're just very old and had surgery, and they're like, yeah, I used to get my tits out all the time. And it's like, yeah, you've gone and found the people and you've created the special features. So yeah, we like that.
But it's keeping that thing though. I mean, I think even though Blu-ray is a big thing, or even Netflix or anything like that, there is still that space for cinema as experience.
I was going to mention that. Yeah.
Which is obviously what we do.
Well. So today you've been in the cinema this morning.
I have.
Lego Movie 2 currently on. What's that current one got in? Isn't that like
Oh, it's nearly. I think it's 90 odd. in there.
90, so currently, as we are talking now, there's 90 odd people watching Lego Movie 2 in
What's
our
the maximum
cinema.
attendance?
In that particular screen, they can have 146.
Yeah.
That's pretty good then.
It is, yeah.
So it's good to see people coming in,
Yeah,
especially
right.
on a Sunday afternoon,
Well,
where it's
yeah.
like you could just stay.
Do you get
inside.
like for the typical big blockbusters? You always get them pretty damn full anyway. Like not Need for Speed, Fast and Furious, or one of the big Marvel things like that. Do you always get them full in a premiere?
It depends. It really does depend as well, because you can never judge it. Particularly with like superhero films and the big Marvel films, we seem to very much have a different audience to the rest of the country.
And the world.
and the
it's
world,
Penrith.
yeah.
Because we're Cumbria, and
Yeah.
we're just a bit different.
Yeah, pretty much.
Whereas we can show something that's like just a drama, that's a bit more.
Oh, the Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society.
Yeah.
So
I'm
do
glad,
you mean,
well
in
done.
other words, does it give you a bit more freedom to show other things that bigger cinemas can't, because they've got so much that they need to show, haven't got any freedom to sort of diverge a bit?
Slightly. I mean, that is the case. I mean, that's what we want to do. I think that's really what we want to do, to be able to show different things that aren't just the same as.
Yeah.
Like as an independent cinema, it's good to have that variety, but you do have to show the big films.
Of course,
because they're-
because
Our
if you don't, then
hands-
they're just going to go elsewhere, aren't they?
Yeah, our
Well,
hands
yeah.
are somewhat tied. Like Disney.
Do you guys
might-
make the decisions on what you show?
No. Well, sometimes, but not mainly. There's
No.
there's a ranking higher than Matt, unfortunately.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. But there's but it can get a bit political, really. Like if Disney makes something that's small time and they know that it was just a filler thing they made, like Nutcracker, they made that film Nutcracker last year. If we'd have flat out said, we don't really want that film, can we not have it? They'll go, oh, well, maybe you don't want Star Wars. maybe you don't want the MCU.
Okay.
And
So you
it's-
kind of got to play ball with them, haven't you?
Yeah, but it's always been like
But
that.
if you're going to put on something like Nutcracker, it's going to be full of kids. So
It wasn't.
Oh.
It didn't do well.
Oh, okay.
But it didn't do well. It didn't do well the world over.
Okay. Right.
Yeah, but you can never
never
judge
tell.
it. Could
Yeah.
be, because it could be something that
Even if it's pumped full of
Disney.
Disney money, it still doesn't mean it's going to be a success.
Yeah, and it depends on what people like. the context of where people are at, the situation people are in anyway, the time of the year. Like,
true.
If you released a Star Wars
January is everyone's skint because they always got paid before Christmas. They don't get paid again till the end of January, so that's 5 weeks.
Yeah.
It's just
the thing about January is it's the build up to the Oscars, and that is an interesting time because you get all the to use a football term, they're all glory supporters. Everyone, it's like the favourite, right? So the favourite is out currently, and what's her name? Olivia Colman.
Yes.
So she won the Golden Globe. Pensioners have been flocking, goes, oh, she's won the Golden Globe. Yes, we have to go and see it. And the amount of them coming out saying it was terrible. They just hated it because it's a weird film. It's not for them.
And although, it is. It's for everyone, but it's the way people approach the film with their own expectations.
If they're attached to a person who plays a certain type of role, and this film's nothing like that, then...
She's playing the Queen in...
But it's
The Crown, isn't she? So there's a certain expectation of
everything she does now is going to be just like that.
Yeah,
that's not how it works.
No, I mean it's a strange film. There's some very awkward lesbian stuff in it for comedic effect. It's quite violent and nasty in places. It just wasn't what
doesn't sound like it's for pensioners now.
No, but I don't want to pigeonhole all pensioners. A lot of them have come out and liked it as well, and so but it's the film recently I've seen the most walkouts.
And again, it's that thing where if people do come out and their immediate reaction is that was rubbish, you've got to then try and open up a conversation with them because
why is it rubbish?
Yeah, why is it rubbish? Like that's fine.
But do you think it's got a lot to do with what you were saying about them, about her, like the associate? They think it's going to be one way, and halfway through they go, "This is not what I thought it was going to be."
It's when something has an award, they expect a certain something of it, and it's like I said to a woman the other day, I was like, "Look, the people who voted to give this actress the award, they're not like you. No. They're not a pensioner living in Penrith. No. They're some big Hollywood type.
Well, they're not just a normal person with a normal job who goes to the cinema every once in a while.
These are different people who've looked at it differently, and that's I think something that gets a little lost.
Yeah,
I think people just assume award great because the amount of people who all came, like The Shape of Water won the Oscar last year, and it's a great film, but it wasn't doing amazing business until it won, and then everyone was flocking to see it because it won. And then they were coming out, and it obviously they were like, well, why is that won? It's this woman having sex with a fish man. It's like, well, it's like I say, it's a different film to what they're used to.
It's perspective as well. I mean, it's that thing which we're at the cinema and we watch a lot of films. So if we see something, we're going to watch it in a different way to someone who maybe sees a film, comes to the cinema once every year or once every few months. And
you look for different things in a film, don't you? You notice everything.
Yeah,
it's like me as a musician with songs. I notice like the layers in the background. How was that recorded? Like things that normal people wouldn't pick up on.
Yeah.
But it's because you're in that world. You just become sort of a bit more advanced, don't you?
Well, that's it. I mean, The Revenant was another one. People were really sort of taken aback by how aggressive and violent it is. And yes, I'm not going to say it's a walk in the park. It is an aggressive, violent film. But the likes of films Matt and I watch, it's quite tame.
Right.
So once again, it's perspective. Someone came out of it and said, that made Peaky Blinders look like Mary Poppins. And I was like, I think Peaky Blinders is soft as all hell. It's like, it depends on your perspective.
Yeah. How long have you two been at the cinema?
I've been there I think it was 10 years in October.
Wow.
With I was way
were you 12 when you started there?
Oh, you're just going to give them all fuel now, all ammunition at the cinema. It's
a compliment, if anything.
Well, that's okay. That's fine. Floppy hair. But yeah, it's been 10 years, 3-year gap. Went to uni, came back, and then took over as management and then manager. So and you've been there
9.
You've been there, all right. I didn't realise you'd been there that long.
I think so, because it was the night I started, there was Megamind and the second to last Harry Potter. They split the last one in 2. So part 1.
Oh, Deathly Hallows. Part 1.
So part 1 and Megamind were the films on when I started, and I'm sure that was that far back. Yeah,
35 mil then as well. So
it was
film reels
before HD.
Yeah, before all the digital takeover.
When did that actually happen?
That was 2012.
Because the cinema was a bit behind everything else, I thought.
We were a little bit late, although in terms of Cumbria, we weren't. We were quite. Because there's so many independent cinemas in Cumbria as
That's
well,
true.
which is one.
That's true. Yeah.
In terms of that density with independent cinemas, it's quite rare around the country. But yeah, we took it May 2012. And I'd learnt projection. Did you learn any projection around then?
Enough that I was shit at it.
So before that, it was all the reels and
It was all reels, yeah.
Yes, and it was. You'll say it wasn't hard at all, whereas because I was rubbish at it, I think it was one of the hardest things I've ever tried to learn.
Whenever I've seen someone doing it, it looks more complicated than it appears, I think.
I have rubbish fingers, so trying to feed this thing.
It almost
through-
reminds me of like cassette tapes back in the day. You know, they all chop up and like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Yeah, but at least you could fix that with a pencil in the.
Yeah, that's
in the
true,
thing.
yeah.
But this was, I set fire to some film. It wasn't my best moment.
So they used to send you a reel, and you only had that one reel, and if you messed it up, you messed it up.
Yeah, that was it. You'd kind of so you get a big box, and it would be the reels would be about 2 miles of film on average, or maybe just slightly less. And they'd come in smaller reels, and then you literally just sellotape them together.
Why did they not come already ready to go?
Oh, because they're so big. They're
right,
so
you have to break them up
huge.
into parts.
Yeah, so they're in parts, so they come together, and then you get the adverts separately and everything like that.
And
But
the trailers as well. It was on knitting, wasn't it?
Did it ever get to a point where you thought, we shouldn't be doing this still these days?
Maybe.
I mean,
I feel like,
it's an art, and I like the idea of it, but it's not very practical, is it?
I feel like close to the end, when we were leaving, it was like, we can't wait for the efficiency of digital. Oh, it's gonna be amazing. Oh, we can just press play. It's a remote. Now I kind of miss it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's something about that physical, actually, which again you say like with things and it being quite difficult, but it just becomes part of. It's the same with anything, with driving, with biking. It's it's something physical that then you can just do, and it's just natural to you. But you come away with like dirty hands from the film, that you've touched,
It's
and you
part
know
of it, innit?
and it's travelled. And I mean, we showed Top Gun. We always say this, but we showed Top Gun print that was and it was an original print, but it was just a mess,
Shot
and
to
like
bits.
bits missing and scratches all over.
But it was great.
Yeah.
It was absolutely.
So have you
brilliant.
kept a lot of the original reels on it you had?
We don't know because you would send them away. So that was actually part of the
Oh, so
transition.
once you'd finished playing it, you have to send it back?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
So whereas now it's all just hard drives, you stick it into a system,
Yeah.
you send that away again. Back then it was very much the case. You're looking after this thing that has a certain history.
Treat this
Sometimes
baby
it-
with care.
Yeah, and sometimes it would come and you're like, who has touched this? And then our chief projectionist, our old projectionist Tony, would do whatever he was going to do to the film. But I feel like he always took care.
He had horrible hands before he started.
So Tony was out of a job then?
Not immediately, because he as well as that liked to do handyman jobs around the cinema.
Okay.
But
right.
I mean,
for a lot of people that would have been the case, I would imagine.
Yeah, but I mean, he held the place together with blue tack and sellotape and did
Chewing gum in the
proper-
light
As
film.
any independent cinema should be.
just botch jobs. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it took a bit of changing, didn't it?
But I think he wanted to go by the end.
He'd
He
done
was
50
very much. He did not
he
like
old?
digital. Yeah.
Ah, right, okay.
He didn't like digital. He was like, "Well, this isn't cinema anymore," and he just sort of would stomp about.
So in
But
2012, is it the same setup as now as it was then? Or have you had any more
Yes,
changes?
I mean we have had additions. So obviously we opened screen number 3. That was 2015. No, 2016.
Right.
oh yeah, that's
Yeah,
right.
it started. The process started in 2015, but it was 2016.
So when you did it in 2012, was that just to able to play HD, or was that because that wasn't 4K then?
That was so it wasn't 4K. I mean, in terms of that can just change with updates and things. I mean,
Okay,
you
right.
can bring in new technology as well, but
So
yeah,
they're sending you 4Ks these days for films.
we're not necessarily. Our projectors are 2K.
2K, right?
But you can get prints that you can get files that are.
Upped quality. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it just depends, and also we do every so often. It doesn't happen as much now. We used to in the past with film, but you get projectionist notes where it says like,
Oh, yeah.
you've got like Dunkirk, when we showed Dunkirk, the Christopher Nolan film, that had projectionist notes because you've got to show it in a certain frame or.
That was a nightmare.
Yeah, it was.
Nobody
But, you know,
liked that.
It's good though to be able to do that and to actually show it how it's supposed to be shown.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're just going to watch it on a TV at home, you're not necessarily going to get that.
Yeah.
You might get the black
Yeah.
space, or it might just fill the screen.
Do you remember Les Miserables had sound instructions as well. They were like, you have to play this louder than ordinarily you would play it. And they were like, I was like, fine, but you don't know our pensioner audience. And sure enough, complaints.
Yeah.
I suppose sometimes because you get really loud parts, but then you also get really quiet parts in it as well.
Not in Les Mis. They
No.
are all banging it out, especially Russell Crowe.
Oh, well, there you go.
Well, yeah. Russell.
But
Sorry.
hang on.
Yeah, I mean, like again, that transition in 2012 was very much an efficiency change, and it was for all cinemas.
Yeah.
Because these films that would come, they're huge, and the amount it would cost for them to ship them out, as opposed to a hard drive or sending it over a network. So the big change in that, really, which a lot of independent cinemas were kind of pushed into, was the fact that you will have to change to digital. But what we'll do is we will almost loan you projectors, and then after a while they will become yours. So this is another big kind of, not necessarily problem, but obstacle that we've had, because there was, I mean, without getting too far into it, there's something called a VPN, which was VPF, which is visual print fee, which meant that any film that was sent out to us, the distributor would also have to pay a fee towards. And it all leads into the reason why it changed over, but it also means that we can't show some films that we'd love to show, because if it's from a smaller studio or from a smaller distributor, they might not want to pay that fee. So as much as we are in Cumbria,
so you have to pay that fee for every place it got sent out to. That would mount up, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but that's one of the benefits of Screen 3, because that doesn't apply in Screen 3.
It's completely ours.
However, it will only seat 31 people. So, it by its nature struggles to
So is that
pull the money
more
back.
you guys get to choose what goes on in that one then?
Well,
pretty much.
Once again, us guys in regards to the cinema, but the person higher than us.
So it's Alan
You can make
Powers.
suggestions.
and we do, yeah.
Yeah.
And we get some suggestions on the go. We pushed for. It's always good around Halloween, because when we pushed for.
You saw classic stuff as well.
Well, we
don't
pushed for The Shining, the American director's cut, and we got that, and it sold out. We pushed for Nightmare on Elm Street. That did okay, but not as good as The Shining. Then we got the original Halloween, and as well as that, we got the John Carpenter's The Fog and Escape from New York as well around the same time. In fact, John Carpenter owned our cinema in the last Halloween, because obviously the new Halloween came out as well.
Our
Of
whole
course.
October was John Carpenter, wasn't it?
Because we went to see him live
Oh,
performing
right,
his music, so we were. Yeah, for us it was just a very John Carpenter steady month.
So do you think attendance have been affected at all by like the internet and file share? Not obviously not like the music industry, but do you think, especially with people having like 4K TVs with sound bars at home and Blu-rays,
Again,
do you think? I mean, you can't replace the experience of going to cinema, but it's getting pretty good at home.
A lot of people don't like the experience of the cinema in the way we do anyway.
Yeah.
There's and it's, I don't blame them, because a lot of cinemas aren't geared up to give you that experience. Whereas that's what we want to do. We have regulars who come out of the screen and know that if it's not busy when they come down, they can expect a flat-out conversation about what they've just watched and what they might like to watch in the future. Right. And it's not just the very film-centric people. A lot of the time, like the pensioners on an afternoon want to come down and discuss what they've seen. Now, they'd not get that in, and I won't name another cinema, but
I know what you mean.
But you wouldn't
you
get
just sort
that.
of get ushered out. It's just off you go. Bye.
And that's it. Whereas we tried to put this friendly face on it, and sometimes an argumentative face, because people want to be challenged.
Yeah.
But they see we're passionate, and we see that they're passionate and they want to talk about these films, because maybe they're going home to a family that do not want to.
Well, that's
fucking
it. Yeah,
listen
you'd be
to
the
what
one
they
person in
have
the
to
family
say.
who loves the cinema.
Exactly. So we try and give people that experience.
Well, I'm in a similar position. I've been with my missus 12 years. We've never been to cinema together. She just doesn't do the cinema.
Right.
I've been to the cinema more with her friends and my friends than I have with her. So it's just like, because I've met other people like this, where it's like, if they were going to go to the cinema and they need a big button where it's like, pause the whole film, I'm just going to go to the toilet. Or, so does he come back at the end, or do I see him before?
that.
I'm like, I don't know.
Like,
I
I'm
mean,
watching
the director
film.
hasn't sent me a synopsis. I haven't seen this either. I don't know.
But sometimes that's the best thing about just being in a dark room where you can't talk. Because
Well, yeah.
you've just
And
got
some
to.
people you have to explain, like, you're meant to not know what's going on. At some point, it will be explained. That's the whole point. It's like, I need to know now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think I mean, what we always say to staff as well, it's perfectly fine to be honest with customers about your views of the film, because
It's an opinion.
Yeah, because then it's only genuine then, and people want that genuine conversation. If you don't like a film, but they're coming in really excited about it, I mean, you can be tactful. You can be. You don't have to be like, oh, it's terrible.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you can be like, well, it's not necessarily my. I didn't get this from it, but you might.
I got a friend who doesn't watch trailers at all. Like, he might have like, say a franchise like Star Wars. He likes Star Wars. We always go and see it when it comes out, but he doesn't watch any of the trailers. He just goes and watches it because he wants to just experience. I don't want to have any preconceived notions about it.
That's me.
If I don't like it, I want to not like it because I don't like it, not because someone else doesn't like it.
Yeah, I stopped watching trailers 2 years ago. And
well done.
the first experiment was Black Panther. Right. I was like, there's no point, because firstly, the Black Panther character was in Civil War. That's his trailer. And secondly, all the Marvel films building up to every Marvel film before is the trailer for the next, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that as a negative. It's
No,
just the way it's structured.
Yeah.
So I don't need those trailers. I'll only watch a trailer if it's something I know nothing about and need to get some kind of grip on it.
Yeah, I'm the same. And if there's like 3 or 4 trailers where like they reveal a bit more in each trailer, I'll only watch the first one. 'Cause it's roughly basically what little bit about it, and then okay.
I don't need a Star Wars trailer. I'm going to that film regardless.
Yeah, you kind of know what you're going to get with Star Wars. I mean, you might like it, you might not, but you know what it's going to be about.
Yeah. And the thing with Black Panther was, at the end of it, I mean, I for the record, I'm not that keen on Black Panther.
I've not seen it.
But
so.
everything I liked in it as the visuals. I was saying to Matt, I like that bit where this happened and this bit, that bit. And Matt was saying, yeah, that was in the trailer, that was in the trailer, that was in the trailer. And I was like, right, so I loved all the trailer moments that would have been spoiled for me if I'd watched that. And then after that, I was like, yep, no more trailers.
I find it difficult because I'm not trailer addict, but I will watch.
You are a trailer addict.
I can't do what you have done. I also I feel like it feeds into the job anyway a little bit, because I've kind of got to. It's like
I think as a partnership,
I use that as an excuse.
As a partnership, as long as one of you watches it, I think that works.
Well, it's worse. It's worse for me because my job in the cinema is I put the films together and I put the trailers on the front and the adverts and stuff. So part of my job is putting these trailers in front of people, but I won't watch them.
Right.
Now, sometimes I have to put, like, there might be one film that'll have, I don't know, for the sake of argument, it has 4 trailers. And the film might be a 15, and I'll say, right, one of these trailers will be a 12A trailer, and one of them will be the harder 15 trailer. But I don't want to watch any of these trailers, so sometimes I have to send another member of staff in and go, right, I've done a build that's just the 4 trailers. Can you tell me which one can fit on the front of Stan and Ollie? Go for it.
Because I just found a way around it.
I have, a really sneaky way.
Stan and Ollie, yeah. Is that coming out? Is that out?
It's almost on the way out now.
Yeah.
In fact, we've lost it now.
We've got rid of it.
It's gone, yeah.
But there's so much at the minute, and again, it's that Oscar season time when you just get flooded with everything, and people want to see everything because they want to have their opinion on the film.
Yeah.
It's strange. It's always strange around that time, that award season time of year, when so much opinion then comes forward, which you don't necessarily get in the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And that's good. Like, we feed off that quite well, but then it's a different audience from the rest of the year.
It's when it goes to shit when a film wins, and that film had been out a long time before the Oscars, and then they come in, and Argo's the best example, the Ben Affleck directed film, Argo. So that came, we had it for a week, nobody came to see it. It must have had 20 people all week.
Right.
Rubbish. Then it won the award. People were coming in, when are you getting Argo? So you
4 months ago.
Yeah, fucking last year, you lazy bastards. Come on. Fuck off.
No, that's...
I can't believe... And it happens, right? Hugo was another one. That Scorsese kids film. That was another one. We had to get it back. Because you should have come and supported it when it could have just been a good film rather than an Oscar
You get that in
film.
most things. People are led by what they see in the mainstream media.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it applies to all art. Music as well, particularly.
Yeah, don't get me started.
Sometimes I feel like this is something in terms of music compared to film, where maybe it is that thing where it feels a bit more special when not everyone knows about it, but you do want to tell people, you want to share it.
It's like when you've got a favourite band who's just on the way up, but nobody really knows about, but you know they're awesome and they're going to be big.
And then as soon as they do get that audience, they are bigger, and then they're at bigger venues, and it's not as special. It doesn't feel
true.
it's not yours as much.
Yeah, you can't keep it in your back pocket anymore.
Yeah, which, I mean, and like you say before about Netflix and things, I think Spotify and on the other side, so Netflix possibly has had some bad effect on film. I still have that
And
feel,
Amazon as well. With all
and
the,
Amazon, all of the streaming services, I think. Yeah, possibly it is negative. Also, it's still access to film, so keeping people interested is good.
It's true.
They're
Because
not-
they produce stuff that goes straight to their service and go to cinema.
Yeah, in fact, a lady was in the other day asking when we're going to get Roma, and I was like, well, we're
I
not.
hadn't even thought about that. In fact, that's quite a sidestepping the cinema straight to your customers.
Because they have a deal with. I keep asking this.
Curzon.
Curzon,
Curzon
isn't it? So these films get very limited shows in the Curzon cinemas, but that's London. It's like I can't. It doesn't help us up here. And I watched the Coen Brothers' new one that's the Balder Buster Scruggs that's on Netflix, and as much as I wasn't that keen on it, it's gorgeous. It is a gorgeous looking film that on a big screen, it's made for the big screen.
Yeah.
It's shot like a proper old school John Ford Western, and it's gorgeous, but that's just on my TV at home, and God forbid anyone watches it on the mobile, because they will.
Would you be able to approach like Amazon or someone and say, you have this film, it's been out for 6 months, would we be able to show it at our cinema?
I feel like with us being an independent cinema, it would be much harder. If again, with Curzon cinemas, which they have traits of independent, but very London based, they have obviously struck a deal with Netflix, which is probably working well for them. I mean, it's that thing, there will be an older audience that won't necessarily want Netflix at home, or just an audience anyway, that then can go and see it. But they're actually lucky in the fact that they can see it on a big screen.
It's true.
There's something so just easy about Netflix and things like that, where and you've got all the choice there, whereas actually to have that curation, to have something that's put in front of you, here, take this, rather than look at all this and you could scroll for ages looking for something. It's down to that curation.
Well, it goes back to when there was like too many channels but there's nothing on.
Yeah, it's a similar, but and again, like in terms of so Netflix negative, but things like Spotify, I don't know what you think in terms of this, but I do. I do think that's opened me up to more music that I wouldn't, especially since kind of record stores disappeared a little bit. Not, they haven't disappeared, but in terms
they
of,
will eventually.
I mean, hopefully
HMV
not.
was the latest one. I mean, they've saved 100, but eventually those 100 will be gone as well.
Yeah.
Oh, but
They will.
I don't think places
There's
like
not
that
enough
can
people
ever-
on the high street going and buying physical copies at the end of the day to keep it. You can't maintain it.
We do joke about this. It's just me. I keep HMV and Carlisle afloat. I have. I still. I mean, I have Netflix, but I love having the solid entities. My Blu-ray and DVD collection would shit on Blockbuster in its heyday because I just want it all.
Yeah,
and I
I'm
want to
the
see
same.
it.
I love the physical copies, and I've said this before. Like, I don't like. I'll go to see a band, and I'll buy the CD.
Yeah.
And I'll put the CD away in the cellophane wrap, never open it, and I'll just listen to them on Spotify. But only reason I bought it was just to support them.
Yeah.
But I have.
I like a CD as well.
Yeah, I mean, I love reading the liner notes and all that stuff. You can't get that with an MP3, but it's just the convenience. You can't argue with the convenience, and you can see why it's going that way. Same with film.
But people think you're a fucking hick if you buy CDs. But it's like no, I just like I have a CD player in my car, and that'll. That
I mean,
gets me
artists
going.
only sell CDs at gigs pretty much. And I mean, sometimes they get them in stores, but the stores numbers are dwindling as well. So eventually, I don't know if it'll still be around.
But there's always going to be something about, and I'm as much as we say, okay, record stores might die at HMV, there's always going to be something where people are wanting that physical, like
vinyl.
with vinyl, yeah, massively.
Vinyl's never gone away.
Yeah, actually having something to take out and put on, and there's a process.
Hopefully,
to
there's
it.
enough left where there'll be like one or two chains of stores that cater just for that sort of thing.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully that'll remain.
The guys who have taken over HMV have said that they're going to broaden their vinyl and more alternative product. So
They need to react to how the consumers, whatever the consumer's doing, they need to adapt to that and just provide it for them.
yeah, and
as cheap and as easy as
They
possible.
want to be marketing to hipsters like us, because you're flat out a music hipster and a film hipster, but I'm just a film hipster. But it's like you mentioned like Arrow Video, so it's a company. I mean, they're called Arrow Video because they're all their output is stuff that was like video releases back in the day. But they're
So they're sort of digitizing it.
well, it's all high end Blu-ray quality stuff, and they do like 4K box sets and everything. But the bulk of their films they release, as we say, are these shitty little nasty like slasher movies from the thing they've recently released. They released this 3-disc version of Waterworld, which
Right.
has the cut that was in cinemas, a TV cut that's 3 hours long with no swearing, and another cut that's slightly longer and has all the swearing in it. And it's a masterpiece. And I
Right.
wouldn't have seen that if not for Arrow doing this release.
right, yeah.
So it's just taking these old films that didn't get respect back in the day, because I mean, regards to Waterworld, it was cut to fuck by the studio. So they're just giving all these things respect and giving the, like, for people like us who want to cherish and love these things.
So what is Arrow? How do you get Arrow?
They've got their own website, so you can.
We'll make a note of this, Tech.
So and,
Arrow.
and you can. It's always called Arrow Video, and then the more high-end stuff is Arrow Academy. That's when you know you're.
Is this like a
hipster.
subscription thing, or just buy
No,
individual?
you just buy and get them in HMV. You can get them
right.
on Amazon.
Right.
They're just. I mean, it's just marvelous
That sounds
stuff.
good. That sounds a good idea.
What great titles! Hell Comes to Frogtown. That's one of the best fucking films ever made.
Frankenhooker.
Frankenhooker, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt we actually every so often we'll come in the morning, put on a Bluray on the big screen just so we can watch one of these just to ourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have a cinema. Why the fuck not?
yeah.
It's there. But we watched Frankenhooker, and I remember just a feeling of dread all the way through. Like, if someone walked in, right now and saw what was on
Whatever
the
they call
screen.
it, the FCC, the whatever.
There's a scene where this character wishes to collect the limbs of prostitutes to make his Frankenhooker, and he develops
Oh my
a
God.
super crack, so he gets all these New York hookers in his apartment and gives them the super crack, and they all start exploding so he can have the limbs. And we were just, and before
What
the
year was this?
explosion, 85.
Oh, it sounds like 80s. It sounded 80s.
So before it gets to the exploding women, it's a lot of nude women and a guy sort of measuring their measurements to see what parts he would like. And we were just like, yeah, if someone came in, they'd think we were just watching a really broad porn.
Really broad.
But what you were saying before about like losing film and going to digital, like music industry's done that, going from they used to cut to like record to tape, and now it's gone to like Pro Tools. What else? Oh, like DJs used to have the vinyls.
Yeah.
Now they just load it up on an iPhone and just go, there you go, just play.
Yeah.
See you later. Aye, great. Woo! I'm probably doing a bit of a disservice there, but that's kind of the image that they've kind of developed now.
Yeah, well, that's
There's a lot less. Seems on the outside it seems there's a lot less to it.
But that's less your fault. That's their fault for putting
Oh,
that
yeah.
across. That's
Yeah.
They've created that perception.
But I
and
see,
you've
I've seen
it.
criticisms of some of them. Still got the decks and everything, but they're not really using them. They're there
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
aesthetics.
Just their
Because
CD on.
otherwise, the reality would be like a plank table like this with like a phone in the middle. All he's put all the tracks all in order. You know, he's mixed them right. He's done all the work at home.
Yeah.
And he just comes in and press play.
I'll say this. For years, I didn't understand DJing. And then I was filming Cock Rock one year, and I was on stage with Zane Lowe,
Yeah.
and I just something clicked, and I got it. I
Yeah.
suddenly understood what this man did, and seeing the audience respond to him.
The audiences love it.
Yeah, it's like
I'm not really knocking it. I'm just saying that's kind of the perception that's been garnered over the years.
But what I suddenly realised, they're just a showman. That's what
it is a
about.
show at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Just like anything else you pay to see.
But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It was one of the most unexpected things I enjoyed that year at Cock Rock was
Yeah.
Zane Lowe. And if you'd told me before, I'd have just been like, nah, that can't be a reality.
It's like you say, the projectionists does kind of know more of that. In music, in the studio, recording music, there used to be a guy who used to cut all the best takes, put them together, mark it on tape, and stick the tape to make the best track of all the best. Because they do 20 takes of a song and say, that take 21A of the drums, use that one. So you'll cut that one. Right, then 42B. So you have to, like, they're all chalked up, marked. It take ages. And now it's just like, all right, just delete that. Do it again? Yeah, I'll just put that in there. It's just done.
Yeah.
And it's just...
Well, I mean, because I made a film on film once.
Right.
Only once. And we didn't edit it on film. We had to send it off to Leeds, I think. Yeah, it went sent to Leeds, and it had to be processed, and it was given back to us on a hard drive. So I could still edit it digitally.
Right.
But we shot on film with all the fear of, if this doesn't work...
If we don't get it now...
Yeah, it's fucked. And it was... Just every time the camera rolled, it was panic. And then... And the thing with film was the film stock cost, oh God, what was it? We got a discount because we were students, but it was something like 80 quid for one reel of film, and one reel of film was 11 minutes. And every time you hit record, you know when you see like the black and the white and the moving sort of stuff in a bit of film, and then it brights up, and then you get the image.
Yeah.
So you lose at least a minute of that every time. Every reel of film, you'll lose at least 1 minute of that nonsense every time you're starting and stopping. So in effect, we were paying 80 quid per 10 minutes of this film for filming.
It was a short film.
It was. It was. It was
79 minutes.
It was a 10-minute
bit of money.
It was a 10-minute film, but I planned it down to such a degree where we had 8 reels of film, and we only ended up using 4. And I was on one side, I was like, well, I was really impressed that I planned it so well, but the other side, I was like, that's a lot of fucking wasted film we didn't use. Still got it. It's in my mother's freezer. You got to keep it
Oh
frozen.
yeah, well that was the other thing. Like you don't get that so much with digital. Your only other issue.
No, not so much.
Your only
Not at all.
other issue now with digital is space, hard drive space.
Yeah.
Like we do get it with a podcast. Like episodes could be like the video could be like 10 gigs if it's like a long one. And you've got to like buy external hard drives. But how long do hard drives last? If sitting there doing nothing. They don't last forever.
Yeah, you've got to get them to turn over at least once a week, really,
Yeah.
because eventually they'll just stop. You'll plug it in and it will have no wear in it left to go. So it terrifies me because I've got so many hard drives. I used to do film production all the time.
Yeah.
And the amount of hard drives I've got, it's like, well, I've got no need to sit there and plug in a hard drive and go through all the hard drives and just get them to work.
I think that's why everyone's started relying on the cloud a bit more now.
Yeah.
But even that's risky in itself because
I
what
don't
if the
like
cloud
the
just
cloud.
disappears?
Yeah.
And you don't own the cloud for a start, so.
And then it all feeds back. It's just a big circle because people are just going to want the physical.
Well, yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you
Could
can
come
look
back
after
round.
something.
Yeah,
that
you
way.
own it. It's like what your granny used to say: money, best place to keep is under your bed. At least you know where it is and it's yours. That sort of thing. You can understand why they think that as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I will say this in regards to us moving away from film and going to digital. We, if a film turns up early and we can play it, we'll just sit and watch it one night before it's on. We just
That must happen sometimes.
all the time. I don't think.
So
a
if you're
week
supposed
goes
to get it on
by.
Friday, it might turn up on Tuesday or something.
That's the way it works.
Depends on the license as well, because now
Yeah.
you get activation licenses.
So
they
you
come-
wouldn't be able to activate it until a certain day anyway.
But a lot of them, they're quite early, and like we used to do staff shows when we had the film, but you'd have to rig that up.
We'd have to get Tony to do it.
Yeah,
originally
pretty
back
much.
in the day, like,
Yeah.
Do you do that now though?
What's
Do you have
the-
like all the staff can watch it?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
stuff like
You
that.
can
That's-
still do it.
That's a big thing, and actually, there has been distributors who have said that you should do that because then the customers, then the
You're
employees
knowledgeable.
are knowledgeable.
Yes.
Yeah, you can have
Yeah.
a conversation about it. I remember we got L, which is the Paul Verhoeven
Yes,
film.
yes, that's right.
And we got specific instructions to show it to staff beforehand so people could talk
That's a good
about
idea.
it.
But they're mad because that film's long.
Yeah.
It's like if you want that as a rule, make your film shorter.
This is a really weird analogy, but it's like when I used to be a greengrocer a long time ago, and when I started, the manager did something really weird. He got all the fruits out, and he asked us to eat them all. He said, eat that. He's like, what do you think of that? This is where, like all this information, where it comes from, and all this information, because he wanted us to be knowledgeable.
No, I like it.
because you used to get asked, and you go, I don't know.
Yeah, I love that. I
And
love
I like that approach. And then he did a meat test. Blindfolded us all. Got to eat like pork, chicken. Somebody, I wish I knew. I wish I could remember who it was. He got chicken mixed up with beef.
Wow.
No.
I was like, whoa! I just was not expecting that. I mean, I was all right, but I mean, that was on another level.
That is unusual.
But I thought that was like that's a good idea to get all your staff to
Well,
need to know the stuff.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a selfish level involved as well.
What do you mean?
Well, we've got this huge staircase in the cinema, and obviously when people have watched the film and they're coming out of that staircase and we're downstairs and they're all talking about that film as they're coming down. I mean, especially with a Star Wars film, I don't want to hear spoilers as they're coming down those steps.
But wouldn't you've already seen it by then? Though?
No, but that's the same. But if I haven't,
Oh, if you were another punter who hadn't seen it.
no.
you mean?
I mean, if we
didn't
weren't
have that
doing the
chance.
staff
Oh, your
shows and
staff,
we weren't
right,
watching
of course.
ahead of time,
So really, in
we're
that respect,
subject
it's important that you.
for
watch
for
it
our own
beforehand.
entertainment and enjoyment.
So-
I think anyone who has a cinema who should have the right to watch it first before they put it on for the
Well,
customers.
I'd like to think so. I remember the last James Bond film, Spectre. The license kicked in half an hour before the first performance.
Terrifying.
Yeah, yeah, we were.
Terrifying.
We were like, God, what if that doesn't work? So
Full sold out show.
yeah, so for a week it sold out. It was like 3 shows, maybe 4 shows a day, sell out. We couldn't get a seat in our own cinema, and all week, every time anyone was coming out, we were like just and just hiding. And
Put your hands over your ears. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. I don't want to hear. Shut up.
It would have been 5 days. 5 days after it started before I saw that film. And I can't believe it, but I didn't hear a single spoiler. I did so well. And then when I watched it, I was like, yeah, well, all of that I didn't know. And there's even a spoiler in the end credits because of who's credited as what. And I never looked even at the screen when the credits were rolling when we were cleaning it up. It was just like, no.
That's another thing in films. You know, people put stuff at the end.
Yeah.
And only the people who are like, I'm going to stay just in case. And don't even think about it. Just gone. And then they read about it online and so they go, was there? Oh, I didn't even know.
They don't like to be told there isn't something because that's obviously a lie. Because we're like, well, there isn't anything on the end of this film. And they're like, oh, well, I'll just stay anyway. Am I a fucking liar? Do I look like a liar?
Sometimes, like, you know, people could watch the credits, like, happily come and sit in the credits. We don't want to.
No,
we don't want to take that away.
If anybody wants to,
you don't want to come up to them and go, there's nothing at the end.
Yeah, just get out.
But you can tell the look on people's faces who are like, you're not waiting for these credits. You're not watching these credits because you love this bloody white font on black or the score. You're waiting to see the tease for the next Marvel movie.
We've actually got someone in. They'll be in now, or they might be finishing now. Who they'll be watching the credits. They're watching Lego Movie 2, and their son is like art director or something in it.
Now, I haven't seen the Lego Movie 2 yet, but those end credits are always amazing.
Yeah,
and
so
whatever nonsensical song they're pushing on you will be in that end credits over and over again.
And they get to see their son's name on the big
that's
screen as well, which is
that's nice.
Yeah. Last Lego one I saw was Batman.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. Yeah. Everything I own in black. Or dark grey.
Yeah, it's.
I love those.
I remember at the time I thought I was like, well, because the Lego Batman is better than Ben Affleck's Batman, and to fully enjoy the Lego Batman, you need an encyclopedic knowledge of all of Batman because it's so thick and fast with how many references are in it. It's
That's
crazy.
True. Yeah, I must have been in the minority, but I'm not really into the Marvel superhero films. They just don't do anything. But I love Batman.
Yeah,
he's probably my favourite superhero, just because he doesn't really have a superpower. He's just got a utility belt. He's a bit athletic.
Yeah. No, I love them all, but I do love Batman. Not so much the Ben Affleck one.
No, I didn't like that one
That's
at all.
not Batman in my opinion.
No.
That's just some guy.
What was the guy before?
Christian Bale.
Yeah, up to there, I didn't have a problem with it.
Yeah.
I really like the original Batman with Michael Keaton, was it?
Yes.
In '92. I think that was the first.
Batman Returns was '92. The first one was '89.
'89. That was the first one that first proper film I ever really remember seeing.
Yeah.
That I can actually remember.
I love it. I'll watch Batman Returns every Christmas.
Yeah,
because
that's good.
It is an unofficial Christmas movie.
Yeah, like Die Hard.
Yeah, no, that's not unofficial. That's a fact.
Well,
no,
this is a huge debate. But
I get.
It's set
passionate.
at Christmas. It's
Yes.
filmed around Christmas time, therefore, to me, that's Christmas. It doesn't have to be about Christmas to be a Christmas film.
But it is about Christmas. He's going to the Christmas party
That's
to
true.
win back his missus, who's called Holly.
That's all you need.
Like probably my favorite film of all time, which will be nobody else's favorite film, is Enemy of the State with Will Smith.
Oh, go on then, yeah.
I love that film.
That
was
good
the
film.
first film I ever watched on DVD.
Oh, okay.
That came out in '99.
Yeah, because
I went to the cinema, and then it came out on DVD.
That and Ronin. They were like the first DVDs.
But that was another one where when you got the DVD and it had all the extended cut and deleted scenes, but they'd put them in so you could watch it.
Yep.
You never, it's something that you have to watch them separately, all in a row.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But this actually put them back in the film, and I was like, it had loads more Jack Black in it. Loads of Jack Black scenes, and I was like, they should have just kept that shit. It's funny.
It's funny because I was saying,
so relevant. At the
yeah, because I was saying because he's in Waterworld. And the extended cut has more Jack Black in it.
It's brilliant.
And
Loads of it, you can tell off the cuff stuff. That just because it's what he's like. It's just brilliant.
It's funny you should say that about Enemy of the State because that was the first DVD I watched because me and my friend had got a computer that could play DVDs.
Yeah, I watched it on a computer. That was it. Yeah.
And we were like,
oh my god,
what can we get?
The black bits at the top.
Oh
of the
yeah,
bottom.
the letterboxes. Yeah,
the widescreen. And but I didn't even I didn't even notice. I was just like, because I wasn't planning on watching it. I'll just watch the beginning. Fast forward, we were like nearly 2 hours later. Like, that was brilliant.
Yeah, we were just like, we've got to go out and get something. What can we go get? Oh, what's this Will Smith film? Let's get it.
Yeah, I just love that film. And it's set at Christmas as well. So.
Oh, is that another Christmas film?
Do you know it's a sequel?
Is it?
Yes.
I did
you
not know
it's a
that.
sequel?
No, I don't know.
Is well, right, okay. I might be mad here and I'm wrong, but isn't it a sequel to The Conversation?
I've not heard of The Conversation.
I don't.
It's a Francis Ford Coppola film with Gene Hackman, and Gene Hackman in Enemy of the State is the same character.
Oh,
right, okay.
It's from 71, I think.
That.
I'm going to look that up.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll be an unofficial sequel, but
Right.
but
if he's
Gene
playing-
Hackman's character is
it
meant
Brill?
to be the same one.
Brill is the character I think he plays on that. That's his nickname anyway.
Right.
But
I,
I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah. It's one of those things where people regularly try and find connections. Like they say the Kurt Russell film Soldier from the 90s is an unofficial sequel to Blade Runner.
Oh, right.
It's set in the same world,
Right.
apparently, and the only real connection is the dump planet that Kurt Russell ends up on. There's one of the police cars in the wreckage there from Blade Runner,
Right.
But they also say the timelines all link up as well. So I like those things. I like it when they try and link it all together.
See, it's strange when you've got that. Now we've got the MCU and it's so big and so connected, and it's
What
just
unit?
so
Oh,
MCU, so like the Marvel
Connected
cinematic universe,
Cinematic
yeah.
Universe.
and that's so kind of. That's there. Like it's all we all know it's connected, but it's interesting when you get films like when I first heard that Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs had that connection because
Yes.
is it Michael Madsen and
John Travolta,
are brothers?
Yes.
But somehow they're connected. Like they are brothers.
Yeah, there was supposed to be a film. They were supposed to make a film where it was the two of them, but I think Tarantino felt that was not really viable.
Yeah,
Probably for the best, really.
The other thing that Enemy of the State first film made me aware of was the music, the score of a film, because it was Jerry Bruckheimer. Enemy of the State.
Yeah.
He's got that signature.
Do you mean Jerry Bruckheimer's a producer?
Oh, is it?
Do you mean is it Zimmer?
Hans.
Is it Hans
Oh,
Zimmer?
is it Hans Zimmer? Is that what it is?
Hans Zimmer
Jerry
does a lot of-
Bruckheimer produces.
But his films. What I mean is his films always have the similar sort of trademark. Unless he uses him for all of his films.
He maybe did.
Because it was definitely that kind of music. I've heard that in other films. And you can tell it's written by the same person, but it's very atmospheric and it just works.
Yeah.
It's when it's so good that when you first watch it, you don't really notice it's there.
Yeah.
But it it helps you through that film. And afterwards, that's when you sort of, that music's amazing. It works so well. And that's.
You've made me want to rewatch that film.
Oh, I love it.
You've
Absolutely love it.
re-sparked
It was
my-
ahead of its time. It was ahead of its time.
Yeah.
99. All the stuff that they talk about it is stuff that's
it's
actually
now,
happened.
yeah.
Like him living off the grid in a fucking jar or whatever he calls it. That famous line, and he goes, "You blew up the building. Why? Because you made a phone call." It's just, it's just stuff like that. I love that film.
Yeah, it is good. I love Gene Hackman. I was so upset when he retired, and he has not come out of retirement. He just writes Western novels.
Yeah.
It's like, well, fine, if you're happy with that.
And I thought
Gene.
Will Smith was really good in that. Like he played a clueless lawyer to perfection in that. He didn't know what the hell was going on. That was one point when he goes, "You're either incredibly smart or incredibly stupid," and it's just like walking a fine line there.
It's before Will Smith had too much power as well, and then started to do these really boring films.
Because it was it was after Men in Black, I think.
It was, yeah.
Men in Black was 98, the first one, I think.
But I think by the time you get into the noughties, he had too much control over the productions he was in, and I just don't think any of them are terribly exciting.
I can't think of anything interesting that he's been in the past 5.
Yeah, like all those
10
ones.
years.
What was the one with his kid?
Oh, I mean, there was After Earth, but there was the Pursuit of Happiness as well.
Yeah.
So that was him with his kid twice.
Yeah.
Nobody cares
Men
about his
in
kid.
Black was alright, but not the third one. The third one was pants. I thought. I didn't mind Men in Black.
Yeah, no, but that's early 90s as well. So he's still just like, bankable star playing the game.
Yeah.
And then just all goes boring.
What do you think of Dwayne Johnson then?
Oh, I love him. I think
he's got better as he's gone on.
I
think he just looks like someone who works at his craft. He wants to do it right. Like,
I think he is getting better, but I think he started well. Like that film, Welcome to the Jungle,
I've
is
got that.
hilarious.
I love that.
And Walking Tall is one of my favourite films.
I love that film.
Yeah,
I love that.
Dwayne the Rock Johnson with a 2x4 making sure that little town has
Taking
justice.
care of shit.
Yeah,
He's the
it's
new
Penrith.
Arnie,
That
though,
town
isn't
is
he?
Penrith.
It's such a simple, small town story kind of thing. There's not a lot to it, but it's great. It's a gripping film.
It's a true story as well.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it is.
Is
yeah.
it?
Yeah, just a guy came back and
His town
decided
had
his
gone
town
to
had
his
gone
town
to
had
shit.
gone to shit.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
a
the
2x4.
casino had ruined it all, the money and the drugs
Yeah.
and the gambling and all that.
So he just went around and hit people with a,
Yeah, he
with a
sorted
bit
it
of
out.
wood.
Yeah, I love it. I love that film. It's brilliant.
Get your taillight fixed. What's wrong with my taillight?
Yes,
It's
Yeah.
broken.
Oh yeah.
I mean, when you think about it now, I mean, yeah, obviously, like Arnie, Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Yeah.
was that star. Now The Rock is that star.
Kind of, yeah.
In a different way.
In
but
Welcome to the Jungle, when The Rock is entering the club, Arnie is leaving
Yeah,
the club
I saw
and he
that.
says,
It's
"Have
like
fun."
it's like a changing of the guard
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
and it's
Have fun.
It's right as well. It's like, yeah, that
That's kind of happened. Yeah.
he is the true successor, but he's. I don't want to shit on Arnie because I love him, but The Rock
He's
is
had his
obviously
moments.
but he's a better actor than Arnie because Arnie was a personality rather than an actor.
Well, yeah, the Terminator doesn't really take a lot of acting skills. You just got to act like a robot. Kind
Yeah.
of thing. It's a different. Has there been any roles that like what's Arnie's most sort of?
There was a thing where it was more recently where his daughter is becoming a zombie, and it's about him dealing with the threat of the fact she is turning, and that's
Right.
a real sort of this is Arnie acting, and he's good,
Yeah.
but nobody cared because it's not
I
what
just
anyone
thought I
wants.
Am Legend. What do you think of that one, Will Smith?
Oh, the Will Smith.
Oh,
Oh, yeah. That's I like that.
I quite like that.
It's sad when the dog dies.
That was very sad. Yeah, very sad.
I like all the stuff when he's on his own.
Yeah.
And then I don't like that the wave of zombie creatures are just CGI. It's like, can
Yeah.
you not have just put some makeup on a bunch of extras and got them to run
True.
at you?
Yeah.
When you've got that story, I think we've talked about this before, though, because obviously you got the Vincent Price.
Last Man on Earth.
Last Man on Earth, which is based on the same
I haven't seen
novel,
that.
and then there's
Omega Man. Omega Man is the one for me.
Charlton Heston. But
Right.
I like the
Charlton
Vincent
Heston with a gun. That's life
I mean, that's just
from his
general
from his
Charlton
cold
Heston,
dead
isn't it?
hands.
Oh, what I was going to say was why I was going to mention Enemy of the State in the first place was because that was the film where I struggled to go back to VHS. 'Cause
Right.
it was like late 90s when
Yeah.
all DVDs were coming in, and then I went to watch something on VHS, and I was like, really? Oh, no, it was on I think it was hooked up to a PC monitor or something. I can't. It was a good screen.
Yeah.
But going from DVD to that, I was like, I don't think I can go back to this anymore. Plus the sound on it as well.
Yeah,
Because VHS was just awful.
That was such a big jump, though. I think
It's
VHS,
huge, isn't it?
Because obviously you got DVD to Blu-ray now, and now there's like 4K Blu-ray and things like that. But they're maybe less of a jump. However, I do remember Darren, who used to work at the cinema, being like, "Why are you watching Blu-rays? Why are you getting Blu-rays? It can't be that different from DVD."
It can.
Yeah, it can. Especially and again, especially sound. Sound is a big.
Yeah,
is
sound's
a big
huge.
Thing. The audio change.
I was like that, but Darren and I were obviously like we were besties at one point, so we had the same opinions on a lot of that stuff.
Well, a lot of times you get attached to something you don't like change.
Yeah, well that's true. I mean,
But until you experience it, you go, I have to admit that's a lot better.
yeah, it's a big plus that the Blu-ray player can still play my DVDs.
Yeah, and it can upscale them as well.
Yeah, so that saves it. And I watch a lot of old sitcoms where no Blu-ray is going to make them look any better because they were shot like shit in the day.
And they were shot in is it not Letterbox?
4:3.
4:3.
Yeah,
4:3.
that's something I love about Blu-ray. If a film was shot in 4:3, the Blu-ray doesn't change that, so it keeps it in 4:3
Still looks.
because
it
they're
would ruin
maintaining the quality.
Everyone gets like stretched sideways.
So I love that. I've got the Blu-ray of Dumbo of all things, and it's in 4:3.
You
and
must have kids.
Well, I
This
do.
was before.
But I have always loved kids cinema regardless. Because I grew up in the 80s when kids cinema had loads of swearing and stuff,
Same.
so it was just awesome. But as a result, I never grew out of all the kids stuff that I watch, and
Some
now
of us
I've
do.
got kids, and I mean, one kid is on the way come April.
Do you keep trying
and it
to
was
show
two.
them older stuff that you like?
Yeah, my daughter's not 2 yet, so
okay.
it's a
Not quite
struggle
ready
at
for
the
that
moment.
yet.
I got her in for a short time. I got her into classic Doctor Who, and that's
Right.
that's because the opening title sequences look like baby sensory, so it just
Right.
worked. And she watched Adam West Batman for a little while because
Oh,
that's
wow.
colourful
That's
and
quite
wonderful.
fast. Yeah.
We'd sit on the floor and watch Adam West Batman because I spent a lot of money on a Blu-ray box set of all the Adam West Batman.
Oh my god.
So I was like, we're watching these.
I feel like she's watched quite a lot of trash as well.
Well, there was
Just
that
like,
time.
inadvertently.
Yeah, there's I tried it with some anime, like some of the Studio Ghibli stuff,
Yeah.
and she watched some things and others she hasn't got the attention span for it.
Those original Batman back in the day. Who's the guy who played Robin?
Or Burt Ward.
I struggle to believe that even back then they looked in the mirror at those outfits and went, "Damn, we look good."
Well,
I
yeah.
just can't. It's just,
Adam
But
West.
it was
oh my god.
but it was the whole thing was that Adam West Batman was all designed to take the piss anyway.
Yeah.
Like it was never intended to be serious. I mean, from a kid's point of view, it's like, yeah, it's Batman and Robin, so it's great. But it's
Yeah.
also that thing of so parents can go, oh, was that a dick joke? That was a dick joke. Oh my god, this is great.
But it wasn't even like the actual Batman and Robin film that they had. It was like how trying to make Robin look a bit good.
Yeah.
He's always had that shit sidekick kind of stigma attached to him. It's like
Yeah,
That
the,
Titans thing that they've
it's,
done.
it's
Oh,
the for a
Titans,
start. It's
yeah.
the name Robin. I mean, what can you do with it? It's hard to work. You're not got much to work with.
well, Netflix has just done a live action series of the Teen Titans, which is Robin leading a group, and he is proper badass in that series.
Right.
It's not amazing, but it services a nice job, and it's full of sex and violence, and it's just his grown-up superhero stuff.
It was sold as Robin saying "fuck Batman."
Yeah,
That
he
was
does.
like the
Someone's
main-
like
Oh, right, okay.
he attacks a bunch of low-level criminals in an alleyway, beats, and they're all sort of looking at him and laughing, and they're all looking up around looking for Batman, and then one of them stops and goes, "Wait, where is Batman?" And Robin just camera pulls in him and he just goes, "Fuck Batman," and he
Right, yeah.
beats the living shit out of these criminals, and he's good. It's good. There's ways of doing Robin.
I always thought that would be a good idea for them to do as a film, Batman versus Robin
Yeah.
sort of thing.
Well,
Make him a
there's-
bit more badass.
There is an animated Batman versus Robin, where it's a new Robin that is Batman's son, and to give you a level of the adult nature of it, this son came about because a woman who was a major villain wanted Batman's seed, so she date raped him. And then whilst he's under the influence, she basically fucks him and takes his seed. And then she's got what turns out to be this kid called Damian Wayne. And then
Damian.
Damian Wayne, yeah.
The name says it all, really.
You know Liam Neeson's character in Batman Begins, Ra's al Ghul.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So it's his daughter rapes Batman to get the seed, and then they can raise Damian Wayne in the League of Shadows, and then when that all collapses, he has to be sent back to Batman, and then Batman's like, well, I guess I've got this fucking kid I've got to raise who's also a psychopath.
Slightly different from the Adam West Batman.
Yeah,
I feel.
slightly
Just
different.
Yeah.
Slightly.
But it's quite a good film. It's obviously this 11-year-old kid who is a flat-out psychopath and thinks justice is murdering the criminals, and Batman's like, well, that's not how we do things, lad. And he's constantly having to rein back this psychotic child.
Right.
And it's good. It's not played for laughs or anything. It's
Yeah.
I like I said, I was genuinely shocked when it was like this kid has come about because Batman was date raped. So surprising.
But then there was a difference going back to the film formats. A huge difference, obviously, VHS to DVD, and then there was a big difference to 4K. I thought, especially like you said, the sound, 4K, and then HDR was the next, the sort of cherry on the cake atop of that, which is
Yeah, and
what
it's
everything seems to be now.
well, it's one of those things as well with, especially with technology at the cinema, how we've had to keep up, and before we were even digital, we had to show 3D because
I was
James
just going to
Cameron-
mention that.
Yeah.
That's kind of gone.
It
it's
is,
a
yeah.
gimmick,
Because
yeah.
people were doing 3D films just for the sake of it, just because that was the latest thing. It doesn't work with every film. Some films don't need it.
That was
Scream 1 was 3D for the longest time. That's the biggest screen. And then,
Did you have to do much to make it 3D?
well, I mean,
we've got a polarizer that
Yeah.
sits in front of the projector,
Right.
and that basically it's a moving disc that then
So that adds the third dimension. Sort of
yeah,
thing.
so it splits the image, or it takes the already split image and kind of puts it together.
Yeah.
And then obviously when you've got the glasses, there's a lot of elements to it.
Some
but
films
yeah,
it works amazingly.
Not
most
many.
Most of them not.
yeah, Gravity was one where the 3D
was-
worked.
What was the main one? The animated one. Avatar.
Avatar, yeah,
That
yeah.
was good at 3D.
Avatar was the reason, basically, that,
Yeah.
that cinemas changed or got digital technology. So that would be 2008, 2009 time. And we were obviously still 35mm at that point.
Yeah.
So we had to get lenses that were like a Technicolor lens that would do do the same kind of thing as 3D, but it wouldn't look anywhere near as good. But we had to get it because we
Right.
wouldn't be allowed Avatar otherwise. And then there's been that progression where obviously we got the polarizer with the digital, and then it's just been overused. Yeah, I think you were going to say it was moved into our smaller screen because no one cares, but we have to show them.
I remember you used to get the cinema, you used to get the option of 3D or the normal.
Yeah.
We'd all just got the normal because you'd look at the trailer or you read about it and you go, that doesn't need 3D.
Well, we might have got a film where, let's say there's 4 shows in a day. One of those shows would be 3D. And the numbers would speak for themselves because you'd have 2D shows would be getting 50, 60, 70 people. The 3D, 10. Yeah. Maybe less. So there was no point in having that in number 1 anymore. So it got moved to number 2, and as a result of that, we got a new screen in number 2, which was gorgeous.
Silver, but it's a silver screen, so it's an actual silver screen. The only thing with it is that it reflects a little bit, but it's still.
I haven't noticed that.
It's the clearest we've ever had in a long time, anyway. So it does look good. But yeah,
I remember the first thing we watched something in there and was like, God, that actually looked crisper. So that was nice.
Star Wars worked in 3D, I thought. I watched, I think it was The Force Awakens over in the IMAX in Newcastle.
See, but IMAX 3D is a different game completely.
True.
And admittedly, anything would look amazing in IMAX 3D.
So what is the difference for someone who didn't know? What is it IMAX that makes it so special?
For one thing, it's enormous.
Well, there's that. Yeah.
I saw a documentary about space and IMAX, and I was sick. I was just like, because the screen was so big and it's so tiered, the seating.
Yeah.
I kind of looked down and I could still see space. And I was like, this is terrifying.
Yeah.
And it's just this calm documentary where Leonardo DiCaprio was talking me through space, and I was like, this is horrible. I want out of here.
It does depend where you sat with IMAX, though, like IMAX 3D, because. Like I saw Transformers 3. I don't know why. Like, at the IMAX in Manchester, and that was 3D. We got there a little bit late, and we were sat like not late for the film, but later than all the other people that came. And we were sat right near the front. You're looking up, and you can see the split between the 3D's not working because you can see 2 images layered.
Right.
Because,
wrong angle.
Yeah. I don't think.
Did it feel like Optimus Prime was teabagging you?
A little bit, yeah.
I think you'd take a teabagging off Optimus Prime just to say it's been done.
Yeah, I guess so. Just to take it off the bucket list. I feel like everyone has that on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think like IMAX is great, and like for certain films you want to see it as big as you possibly can. 3D actually, like even with our third screen, we've got like an 11-foot screen. In
so you can still show 3D if a good one comes out. You could, and it was 3D. You guys can still show
we've got it in
the
screen number
the
2.
studios aren't pushing for it
No.
though. Once upon a time they'd be like, well, you have to show X amount of them in 3D, but now it's weird they're even bothering to do them in 3D because they're not caring.
Yeah.
But it's
certainly not laying on us.
Well, the gimmick is it has become. At first, they were saying it's not a gimmick. It's not this kind of blue and red glasses. Or is it Castle? What's the
William Castle? Yeah,
so
where he used to put buzzers underneath the seats and stuff.
Yeah, he was trying to make like 4D cinema.
Right, yeah.
But it's all a gimmick. And what's actually happened is this has disappeared. Now James Cameron's came back and gone, I'm making 3 more Avatar films, and I'm gonna make it with like glassless 3D, so you're not wearing glasses.
Right.
That's not at all thinking about the fact that all the cinemas are going to have to incorporate that somehow into there, and that will be some form of new screen or
some sort of technology that you have to buy.
Yeah,
but he thinks that he's doing us a favor.
Yeah,
he's like, oh look, now you have to get this new technology, and this new technology is amazing because I've invented it because I'm
and it
James
costs a fortune.
Cameron. Yeah. It's like, oh, James, unless you're going to come to each screen and fit it yourself.
Send us the cash, you bastard.
Oh
no, it's something. I'm trying to think of other things in terms of those gimmicks that we've ever had, but I guess 3D is the main thing that is recurring.
Yeah, because then every TV in the shops, like PC World and all that, was 3D. There's 3D that, and it came with the glasses and that.
No one cares anymore. I mean, a film should be immersive on its own qualities, not on.
That's true.
The fact that
and if you can enhance that with 3D, then by all means do it. But don't just do it for the sake of it, because
3D makes things look darker as well.
Yeah.
If you take a moment to, as you're watching the 3D film, to just lift those glasses, the colour is ridiculous and how muted it is in 3D.
Yeah,
I find.
I also found that when the World Cup was on last year, I just got a 4K TV and I've got a fast internet connection, and they started streaming some of the games in 4K HDR.
Yeah.
But the colour, there was hardly any colour. I noticed when I went back to the normal in HD, bright colours. But for some reason, the 4K, I don't know why that is. I had to up the colour to make it even more normal. And then I went back to it. I was like, oh my god, these colours! I've turned down. I don't know why. I meant to look into it. So why is that? But
Well, that's a big thing actually at the minute, and without sounding like Tom Cruise.
To be fair, he's
please
right.
sound like
He's-
Tom Cruise.
he's-
Well,
By all
yeah,
means.
I'll try.
He's
Off you
100%
go.
correct, and
He
I've
is-
been
he is
saying this.
correct.
I've been saying this for years, and finally someone agreed. Go on.
What's he
Well,
said?
I mean, you talking about watching football or any kind of sport. The reason TVs have this kind of motion smoothing now is for watching sport, because what it'll do is it creates, so between the frames, it creates an almost it's the transition between those frames, and so when you watch something, when you're watching football, it's much more smooth. Like you
Gives it a reality.
yeah, and it makes things kind of look. Yeah, you're not watching it on a TV. It's almost like it's there. However, when you watch a film, it completely takes something away. It's
It just makes them too smooth. It makes it look like, I don't know, say it's a court case or something. It looks like you're there in the court case, and that shouldn't be the case. You should be. It shouldn't. The film shouldn't look like
That works for
it's
some
in
things,
reality.
but yeah.
But like sport, fine, because it's.
Well, I'll tell you what, that's 3D works in sport. Have you ever watched sport in 3D?
Oh, I
I
could
have. I watched
imagine. Yeah.
I watched at a friend's house on a big TV, Wimbledon last year, and they had the cameras like we used to go down there by the side of the court sometimes. You literally felt you were courtside just watching. I was like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Football works as well.
Yeah, see,
Yeah.
I can
It,
see the
it
logic
brings
there.
what you're watching a bit more to life. That makes, because that's the kind of thing where you do feel like you want to
Yes,
be there.
absolutely.
But a court case, yeah, I see what you mean.
But
like,
anything really, I don't like how films are getting smoother and smoother. But then once again, because I grew up in the 80s, I want that tonality about it. It's that difference between filming on digital and then filming on film.
yeah,
Like you can really tell.
you want to experience it
sometimes.
however the person who created it intended it to be.
Yeah.
Well, that's
You
it
don't
as
want
well.
technology to change it before it gets to you, I suppose.
Well, that's it. But I prefer the look of something that's been shot on film over
Yeah.
something that's digital.
Tell you what I noticed when in the Star Trek film, the new Star Trek films, when
Beyond.
when they started doing that lens flare thing.
Yeah.
I thought that was really good because
Yeah.
they used to like try and reduce that, but then they've said no because
That's
didn't
a
they used to do it in the
JJ.
old days. Didn't it used to happen
Yeah, it's because
previously.
it's not necessarily in Star Trek, but a lot of Spielberg films has that lens flare,
Yeah.
and J.J. Abrams cannot stop sucking Spielberg's cock. He cannot stop, and like his films have those quality, and I mean it's fine to worship the man.
Yeah.
I everyone. I think everyone loves Spielberg. There's films you don't like, and there's films you do, but he's got some of the.
He's
biggest
always got
classics.
some that pretty much everyone holds close to their heart.
Yeah, I
films that
mean,
he's done.
you
Yeah.
can't ever fault Jurassic Park. You
No.
can't fault
E.T.
Oh, I don't like E.T.
Oh, okay. I don't love it, but I just thought
Yeah,
Can't fault
nostalgia though.
I can't fault the original Indiana Jones.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like he's a great filmmaker, but J.J. Abrams has taken it to a point where he wanted to be the
Yeah.
next Spielberg.
It's strange because he is almost, you can watch a J.J. Abrams film and he is an auteur. Like it is his style. Like you can tell his style.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
his style is
Spielberg.
taken from.
Well,
Spielberg,
that's
so
why I
it's-
started to be able to tell Jerry Bruckheimer because it was the music and the whatever lenses they were using, the camera angles, everything. You
There's
could
a
just tell.
Bruckheimer has a nice bombastic quality
Yeah.
to a lot of the films he produces,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Enemy of the State it's Tony Scott, isn't it?
I feel like it is.
Now, Tony
don't
Scott
know.
is flat out an auteur filmmaker. I mean, well, he was, because dead now, obviously. But he was flat out. You knew when you were watching a Tony Scott.
So
film.
what does he do? What would he have done in that film?
Well, he'll have as many cameras as he can get hold of.
Oh, I see. Right.
Like apparently the crew used to hide cameras from him because they're just like, we don't want to set
Well,
up another fucking
with Enemy of the
camera.
State, they used to do obviously that use satellite
Yeah.
footage and
Yeah.
surveillance footage across lakes and in streets and stuff. So they loved all that.
Yeah, he would just go mad. Like his brother Ridley Scott. You can tell his films because they're
I didn't know that was his brother.
There you go. Ridley Scott's films are beautiful. And
very
he's got,
unique,
He's
I
got a
thought.
real sense of what he can do with colour and light
Yeah.
and shadow, and even in something very plain, he knows how composition works, and his films are gorgeous, and it's less reliant on the edit. And I feel like Tony started to do that in the early days with a film called The Hunger, which is a vampire film with the David Bowie's in.
Right.
and then you can tell it's not quite even. And he used to do adverts, so it's like he knows what a shot should look like and the composition, but he also wants rapid editing and he wants crazy things and he wants it to go bam 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 and the camera needs to keep moving and he's sort of he's like what Michael Bay ended up becoming.
Right.
But Michael Bay chooses projects that don't have the story to back them up, whereas Tony Scott's a better storyteller. Or once again, he was. I keep forgetting he's dead. But yeah, so there's that's a man who you can identify his films by camera movement and edit, whereas I feel like his brother Ridley, you can tell because he like we'll linger on this shot long because it's fucking gorgeous and I want people to take it all in. The opening shot of Blade Runner, where it's just moving through the skyline and it's all beautiful models and fire going off and then that eye just reflected in it. It's like, yeah, keep on that.
Yeah.
Why would you cut away from it?
Yeah.
Make the whole film that if you want. But yeah, so there's it's nice when you can identify the styles.
Yeah, I think, and again, it is that thing. I mean, we were saying about the motion smoothing and everything, but it is just being. It's that thing of, I guess, if you're listening to music or going to a gig, and the difference between going to a gig at a small venue where you feel very
intimate,
and then you go to an arena and you're right at the back in the gods, and
that's gone.
And you're kind of listening to, like you can
They're
hear
only
it. And
they're
on
only
the
that good
screen
if you're near the front.
Yeah.
Once you get to a certain point, you kind of like just.
I was quite far back when I saw Kiss, and they are able to get you at the
Was
back
that in a
of the
stadium?
room. It was, yeah.
Yeah, stadium's good. We've got the full round.
Plus, they do that thing
Difficult,
where they have a zip line, and Paul Stanley usually flies over you and gets.
Of course he does. Of course he does. It's Kiss.
Yeah, and then Gene Simmons flies to the sky, vomits blood, and then it was amazing.
I heard AC/DC did good sound as well in their stadium shows as well.
Well, I went to see Nick Cave at the O2, which you'll have heard me just go on because I constantly talk about Nick Cave. But I saw him at the O2 and I was like, this is going to be terrible. We're going to be so far back. And you want to, with Nick Cave, you want to be there.
Yeah.
And we got there and we were right at the front and like hand on his chest while he was singing down to me.
How romantic.
It was beautiful. It was beautiful.
I'm not gay, but he could have had me right then.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. But and obviously there's like expectation of what an arena is going to be like, and I guess if you can manage to get like a moment where you are there and you are close, but I think that is the difference between, say, going to see something at our cinema, which is, I mean, smaller. Yeah, fine. We're not the biggest screens. We're not kind of that. We're not pushing necessarily as well. Even with like the 4K thing, we're not kind of pushing that ever. I mean, you've got the quality of the screen. It's comparing that to going to, say, a multiplex where you are just buying a ticket and you are just kind of and always what we say when we employ people is that it's about creating the experience for people rather than just a fake kind of buy a ticket and then you're in and then that's you done. You watch the film, you go. I think it is that same. And I think it applies to a lot of art as well. And again with music, even Penrith, even like Cumbria at the minute. I think there's so many small venues that are actually putting on music, which is. And there's like a folk scene, and then you've got kind of like Fell Bar in Penrith, which are putting on like little music bits every so often, and that's an experience as opposed to even if you've seen something new. That's kind of I think that's the best thing about it. You've seen something you haven't seen that hasn't made it big. And we always I don't know. We always talk about the experience, I guess.
Yeah, that's what we've got to offer. Which, to be fair, is
it's a good experience.
It's the thing you want, isn't it? You want to you want to just
it's
give
escapism.
people a nice experience, a nice warm atmosphere, and we don't hire fucking morons.
No. You want music and film enthusiasts.
Yeah. Well, music enthusiasts as well. I feel that film and music are
very
just
intertwined. Aren't
yeah,
they
are. I always music can make or break a film.
Yeah, well, and
or make
films
a
about
scene.
music like Bohemian Rhapsody and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I've got issues there, which I won't go into.
We can go into it. We've got time. It's fine.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
What did you think?
I already went into it knowing what the discrepancies would be and the inconsistencies, and I just put all that aside. And I quite enjoyed it.
Enjoyed it.
I knew what they had to do to make it sort of more flowing story for most people to get.
Yeah.
And I am a diehard Queen fan, and I just put all that aside, and I quite enjoyed it.
Because I am a painfully diehard Queen fan as well, and it infuriated me. No, tell lie. No, yeah. Let's be honest.
If I went to see it and I didn't know any of that, I'd go, hold on a minute. But I already knew what they'd done to make the film before I saw it. So.
Well, I knew about the troubles they'd had, because there was that rumour for ages where Freddie was going to die halfway, and it was going to be about how Queen went from strength to strength after he died. And it's like, well, that didn't happen.
But the film was sanctioned by the rest of the band, so it had to have a certain level of authenticity to it. Even down to what are the conversations that they had in the studio.
But it's full of lies.
Well,
it's flat out lies.
Such as?
Well, they never split up for a start.
No.
Brian May and Roger Taylor had done solo albums long before Freddie went off and did a solo album.
Yeah.
So why have this scene where he has this massive fallout with them? Roger Taylor has said in interviews numerous times that he felt Freddie didn't want to go off and make a solo album. It's just the money was so big.
Yeah.
And to keep that Queen element, Roger Taylor used to go over and record backing vocals for him.
Yeah.
So they didn't have a split up. So there's never this bit where Freddie has to go back cap in hand and be all like, oh, I've come back to you, darlings. I've come back to you. And it's like, this film needs to fuck off. People, like, when I first saw it, I actually, like, I was a fan in the respect of I just loved the music, and I didn't know much about what gone on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, that's not where my interests lie. I just love the music.
Yeah.
So when I came out of the film, my first reaction was, I quite enjoyed that, but Freddie was a bit of a cunt.
It did come across that way.
Yeah. So I thought, that can't be true.
They've gone for the typical lead singer syndrome.
Yes. Yeah.
Kind of what happens to most people because they're the main person, so it goes to the head. And
I don't... If Freddie Mercury, in reality, was a bit of a cunt, fine.
He was eccentric.
Yeah, but don't make up scenarios that make him out to be a cunt.
I suppose it's surprising that the band were happy for it to come out that way.
And the rest of the band are all like always turning up on time, and they're like, "Oh, you're late again, Freddie."
Yeah.
It's like, leave the fucker alone. He's dead. He can't fucking defend himself.
Yeah.
The greatest singer the world has ever known, and you're pissing on him from this film. The man who turned your shitty band into a success. And they knew each other before he joined the band, so that bit where they harmonise in a car park is bullshit.
Yeah.
But the other thing was that I found out this afterwards. The stick that people like to beat Queen with is that thing where they played for the apartheid government in the 80s.
Right. Yeah.
And so they were suddenly, everyone was saying Queen played for a racist regime and they should be shifted away and forgotten about. And that is actually the reason they almost weren't in Live Aid, because the organizer was like, do we even want them here? Not this thing where Freddie has been on a drug-fueled bender recording a solo album and then goes, I don't know what Live Aid is, so Live Aid is, darlings.
Yeah.
It just and everyone comes back to me and goes, well, it's not a documentary, Andrew, it's a film. It's like, fine. I can appreciate you've got to choose creative choices to make the film work, but not at the expense of making him look like a cunt.
No, I agree.
And
I agree with everything you said, but I still enjoy the film.
Fine. But Matt's point as well. Matt had a great point. I'm going to talk for you now.
Oh, right,
but you said...
You just sit back.
The final 20 minutes...
Drink your whiskey.
I'll be happy.
The final 20 minutes is the Live Aid set.
Yeah, I love all that live stuff.
But you can watch that in high quality on YouTube.
Yeah.
They didn't need to shoot it shot for shot.
No.
That footage.
I actually really liked that. I enjoyed that part of it.
See,
I thought...
But they could have. It's a waste of film. They could have just done.
Well, you could. Yeah.
They could have put some truth into the thing. But it's good performance.
My like problems with it are it's strange because obviously I feel like your problems definitely are
personal,
but also about the facts.
Hysterical.
Whereas on my side,
well, more from a diehard fan point of view.
Whereas I just didn't connect with it like I wanted to, but I just didn't. I found myself not really, and whereas a lot of people have, a lot of people have enjoyed it, and this is where the problem is, because it is an enjoyable film to the point where they made a sing-along version that was released in cinemas, and
it's not even a musical.
They've sold the sort of soundtrack with all the stuff, the audio stuff that they did. They've sold that as a separate thing as well.
It's obviously connected with a lot of people now.
I think what you're getting at is that it's for the people in the middle. Like,
it's for
someone
the
who's
people.
as much of a fan as you are is not going to be happy with it. I'm sort of bit more. I do have some certain problems with it, but I still quite enjoyed it. And you're sort of like, I didn't really, not bothered.
Yeah.
It's for the people who think Queen's back catalogue is greatest hits 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
it's
yeah,
like,
yeah.
right, it's the people who can't name any song on Queen 1
Yeah.
or Queen 2 or jazz. It's like,
Yeah.
come on. It's and I personally think, I think Queen are better than their greatest hits. I think there are stronger songs that never made it big.
Well, that's true. Yeah, definitely. I'd agree with that.
And really, like, there's amazing pop songs, there's amazing dance songs, there's amazing hard rock
and they were heavy.
songs.
The
And,
early
yeah,
days were really heavy.
The heavy stuff on Queen 1 and 2 is spectacular. In fact, there isn't even a considered hit on Queen 1.
No.
Because the thing that confuses people is the last track is a 1 minute slow instrumental of Seven Seas of Rye. So everyone thinks Seven Seas of Rye is on Queen 1, but it's actually on Queen 2.
Yeah.
But it's Liar. Liar is one of the best songs I've ever heard, and that's on Queen 1.
Yeah.
And that's a 6-minuter.
Yeah.
Yet you've got this scene in the film where Mike Myers is pretend to be several different people, and he's going,
I did not know that was him.
there you go.
I did not know that was him.
Only there for a joke, so he can be like, people want to in a car, heads banging. It goes on forever, 6 bloody minutes. Queen had loads of songs that were 6 minutes, or maybe even longer, before Bohemian Rhapsody.
Yeah, but not in the charts though.
No, but
that was a debate as to which one, because on that album they had much shorter, easily digestible songs.
But the argument is that also in that is that it's shit. Whereas in reality, they were saying, look, it's a great song, it's a masterpiece.
They were just
but you
looking at the
can't
time.
Release it. Yeah.
I don't think they were just looking at the time.
Yeah.
We can't do that. It's not going to work.
The scene in the film is him shitting on it, and he's not
Yeah.
even a real person. He's 3 different people put together. Here's what I would have done.
The passion.
Firstly,
When we do the highlights, this is going in there. This is going in there.
here's what I would have done. Fuck off being a film. That's nonsense. Go to Netflix, and it wants to be a series, and it wants to be as many episodes as there are studio albums. And every episode focuses on the different albums and what was going on around each album. And you can name each episode the different album titles.
Right.
So that's like...
I'd watch that.
Is there 15? Is there 15 studio albums?
I don't know.
I think it might be less.
It'd be around that.
It's between 10 and 15 studio albums. So ignore the live ones. Because there must have been mad shit going around each album. And you could have done hour-long episodes on Netflix, 15 episodes, dealing with the different times of life. And then you get a whole episode that's devoted to the fucking Flash Gordon album.
Yes.
Which is not even fucking mentioned in that film. And I know because people are like, because it's stupid, but I don't care.
What's the
It's
Highlander
amazing.
one?
It's Kind of Magic. But we don't get that far though, because that was after Live Aid.
Oh right, yeah.
But then of course he wasn't diagnosed with AIDS until after Live Aid.
No.
But doesn't matter. We'll stick it in early.
I remember that was one of the things I knew about. I was like, that's not right, but
Let's wag our finger at the promiscuous gay man.
Yeah, that was maybe.
I just went into the film quite open-minded. Like,
Which
I'm obviously not as much of a fan as you are, but
the thing I learned from it when I first came out and I knew less, I was like, I think I really enjoyed that. But I think for
when you start analysing it,
and then when I watched 5 documentaries in a weekend and read news and read articles online. And I was like,
because you didn't do that before you watched it.
Yeah.
You didn't come out like punching the walls. No.
But I realised, like, I hadn't listened to Queen in ages. I'd had a bit of a downtime with them, but they were a big thing when it was very much a thing when I was a kid. Me and my mother, everywhere we'd go, we'd listen to Queen.
Yeah.
So it was important for me in my childhood, and then onwards I just continued to love them. But something happened somewhere where there was a slump and they vanished out of my life. And I will say, this film has brought them back to me. So I'm like, for all of the problems, I can now
At the very least, it's done that.
Yeah, it has rejuvenated my absolute undying love for Queen, which clearly did die for a little
So
bit.
you're not a Queen fan anyway, so you didn't really connect with it for that reason.
I am to a certain extent.
Right.
I'd probably be that kind of.
Did you watch it
audience.
together then?
No, you actually watched it first.
Yeah, I was really angry about
Because
something.
he'd even sat next to me like steam coming out of his ears while he's watching it.
Because like I said, watching it
first
was
watch.
fine. And you asked me what did I think, and I was like, I think I enjoyed it. I think the cast is, like, I still think the cast.
Oh, the casting was
excellent.
amazing on
And,
it.
like, everyone goes on about Rami Malek, but the guy they've got playing Brian May,
Yeah.
I have to assume part of the budget was spent on a time machine, and they've gone back and kidnapped him from the 70s. Because that is Brian May.
Yeah.
He's perfect.
You've absolutely nailed that.
I can't believe it. But the conclusion I came to is because every 5 minutes there was a Queen song, here's a Queen song,
Yeah.
and because I hadn't listened to them in such a long time, all that was happening was I was being brainwashed and reminded how much I fucking love Queen.
That's what
Would you like to speak now?
Well, no, it's just more that brainwashing though is the thing that I feel like maybe the film has. Yeah, I mean, it's not necessarily brainwashing, but putting some Queen songs in front of someone, yeah, you're gonna naturally just enjoy.
You're gonna gravitate
something,
toward them,
and everyone has been doing that. And I feel like there's a lot of things, Mamma Mia showed in the summer, and it was
God, I
packed
can't
out.
stand that.
To be fair, I quite enjoyed the second one.
The second one, I'll give the second one props as well. The
'Cause it's
second
more
one
self-aware.
knows it's fucking stupid now, so it's now entertaining.
I'm just not into musicals. Anything singing in films just turns me off. So
Depends on what they've got.
See, that was my thing with Bohemian Rhapsody. I was like, if they're gonna do it like this, just do a musical. If they're gonna heighten reality, just do
a Queen musical. that
Queen
would-
Yeah,
I'll
they
probably
should
go
they
to
should have
that.
just done what was it called? It's We Will Rock You is the show.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah,
They should have just
yeah.
done We Will Rock You.
But yeah, I mean, those are the films that tend to connect with. If you have something that is a musical, like Greatest Showman and Mamma Mia last year,
I've not seen Great Show.
they were possibly our biggest. I haven't actually.
Well,
looked
that
at
and
our-
Bohemian Rhapsody would have been.
Yeah, our biggest films. And again, it's music. Like it's directly linked with film in terms
Yeah,
of
that's true.
popular culture and building those audiences. If a musical's going to come in and it's got a fairly high profile, it's going to do well and it's going to
Same with things like Bohemian Rhapsody or documentaries that get aired in cinemas or live performances. Like, did you do the back in 2008 when the Foo Fighters did a live? Well, it was recorded live, but it wasn't broadcast live.
We didn't do the Foo Fighters.
No.
I think I went to Carlisle to see that.
I remember it being shown.
It was the Wembley one when they played Wembley.
Yeah, and we didn't get the chance to show it. And
The sound wasn't great anyway.
Oh, was it not? No.
The sound kind of. I'm sure it was when you were there. If you were there, I'm sure it was perfect. But how they recorded it just didn't quite come across.
Yeah, I feel like that's a thing that's. I mean, it's strange. We do all the live shows, the event cinema.
We got Cliff Richard, didn't we?
Yeah. So we
Brilliant.
didn't get Foo Fighters, but we got Cliff Richard and Andre Roux. So
We got Elvis though.
We did get Elvis.
Recently, they
There you go.
rebroadcast one of his specials. That was magic.
I did push for that Nick Cave one as well. But
Did you get offered the Coldplay one?
We
They did a one
we
day.
did
Did a 1 day thing.
I think
of
we did
the-
get offered that as well, but we didn't show. We
It
showed.
was on at Reggae. That's why I was going to go to you, but it wasn't on. So it was on at
Yeah,
Reggae, so I went there.
That's maybe why we didn't get it. Was
Yeah, that's possibly the case. I mean,
They just wanted one in the area.
well, yeah, I think that happens quite a lot. And actually, you can on their big screen, you can.
It is
you
a
can
huge
see
screen. It is a
how
huge screen.
That's going to
to be
be.
fair.
That's going to.
But when you're watching a
live
music
concert.
documentary, I don't think the size of the screen makes that much difference.
No, we got.
But I'm not a Coldplay fan at all, really. I like your song, but I like documentaries about bands.
Well,
Like,
we got the Whitney Houston documentary, but it didn't do terribly well, did it?
No, but again,
I remember one guy, I was saying, this Whitney Houston's documentary is coming out, and he was like, I'm not interested in that, she was a junkie. I was like, well, weren't the best performers all junkies?
He would dismiss half the music industry.
Yeah.
That
It's
one
like,
sentence.
come on, play the game.
What did we do? We've shown something recently. So we showed the Eric Clapton.
Oh, we
live show,
did?
and that went
not seen
down
that.
really.
Oh.
That was sold out.
Yeah, for ages, we were like, this isn't going to do any business.
Now, obviously, his politics, maybe don't necessarily agree with, but it's strange because we kind of after that used that as Eric Clapton did really well, so we can maybe do this and this and this, and every so often you've got to kind of do that. You've got to go to distributors or to Alan, our boss, and go, look how well this did. Maybe we should do this and try
Something similar. Keep
something. And so we've tried it, and again, tried to push a few things. Foo Fighters, I do remember that coming. I don't know why we never got it in the end. I wonder if it was because View were showing it. I mean, in the
View might have had
vicinity-
some sort of deal because it was one of those ones where it was out everywhere just for the one night at the same time. Bit like the
Yeah.
Coldplay one, because the Coldplay one was like they did it in a select few cinemas across the country, and then it was released a month later or something. So if you want to see it a month early, go to your cinema to see it, sort of thing.
Yeah, and I think it's open. The good thing about all the live shows and event cinema is that it has opened it up to another audience that wouldn't necessarily come to the cinema. And now they might come and then see a poster for something that.
Well,
that
that's
might
it. Yeah,
interest
I
them
saw
and
the
then bring some.
Beatles one. Was it 8 days a week? I saw
yeah,
that at your spot a few
Yeah.
years ago. I remember that.
Did you come when it had the live Q&A at the start of it as well?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was the
all
night
that
to
all
come.
that premiere
Yeah.
stuff at the beginning. Yeah, I didn't know any of that was happening. We were like, oh, when's the film starting?
That's a good documentary.
But yeah, I really enjoyed that.
Like I
yeah.
don't.
Yeah.
I keep meaning to buy it on Blu-ray because I heard the extras. All the extras are really good on it
Yeah.
as well.
Is that the Ron Howard?
It is the
Yeah.
wrong because
Yeah.
Peter Jackson's now like doing his own Beatles documentary
Oh,
that's
right.
like even longer, and he's going to try and shit on Ron Howard. But I'm not the biggest Beatles fan.
I'm
but
not a
that,
Beatles fan
That
at all.
documentary was so interesting, and it's like to think of how young they were and just thrown into the chaos.
I know.
just
It's
crackers.
there was no precedent for that.
No,
one had
no.
ever gone through that before, so they were all just experiencing it the first time. No wonder they kind of went onto drugs, and then the songwriting went where it went. And
another bunch of junkies, but we don't knock
Yeah.
them down.
Yellow Submarine, and
Yeah. Oh, we got Yellow Submarine as well, didn't we?
Yeah, we
we had
showed
a
it for
week
a
of Yellow Submarine,
There you
which
go.
I loved.
Did you show Metallica's film concert thing Through the
No.
Never?
Did
Oh
we
no,
show
no,
that?
we didn't. That was a while ago.
Have you
wasn't
seen
it? I
Yes.
have seen it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. I think they should have separated the two. Because on the Blu-ray you can watch just the performance or just the film,
Oh.
and they should have if they just brought out that 3D performance with
Mhm.
all the stage props and everything, they would have done well with just with that. The story kind of like just didn't. I didn't connect the two.
It's strange to
Yeah.
Just kind of doing it just for the sake of it.
because Michael Winterbottom did a Wolf Alice film recently, which was like it was like concert, but then fictional, but with the band as well included.
Right, yeah.
And I think that worked a lot better.
Mm.
But yeah, I remember being that how split up it felt, and actually you could separate, and that's why it's worked.
The story of like a guy going across town to get a bag that they've forgotten. That's
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
the story.
Yeah, he's like one of the roadies or something,
Yeah.
isn't he? Did we get? Because this was before I started working there, and probably before you did as well. But are you aware of the Alhambra getting the Rolling Stones documentary that Scorsese had directed?
I don't know. I feel like not.
Right, because I
was
saw
like
that in
2000.
Carlisle. That was like little bit of documentary, 2 live songs, documentary, 2 live songs,
Right.
documentary, 2 live songs, and that was the structure. But that was quite good.
I vaguely remember that. Yeah.
It was okay. It's nice to see
Who did that?
Scorsese
Oh, okay,
directed that,
right.
but it was nice to see really, really old footage of Mick Jagger, very young, black and white, going, "Yeah, we'll probably be done in a year's time."
Have you heard Scorsese's next thing after The Irishman? I don't know if any so for Netflix, because he's making a film called The Irishman for Netflix, which has
Keep it close to your mic.
oh sorry yeah so it's got Robert De Niro in and Al Pacino and Joe Pesci's back.
He's back.
He's back, yeah.
He
So
never went away in this cinema.
well, yeah. But afterwards, he is making a documentary concert film of Bob Dylan's Rolling Thunder review.
Right.
Is it the Rolling Thunder? Yes, it is the Rolling Thunder review, and I think that's like later this year. But that's extremely exciting to
Yeah,
me.
of course you're excited about that because if you can't have Nick Cave, you will happily have Bob.
Yeah, that's fine. So like,
I don't mind Nick Cave. I like the little bad seed stuff like that.
yeah, he's just. I mean, no, I'm far too taken in. If I ever like submit to some kind of religious cult, it's going to be a Nick Cave
Or a Bob Dylan one.
Yeah, well, Bob's kind of on the side, just there telling me that this is a bad idea to be part of something.
It's a
Yeah, but that's exciting. But that's another thing that we won't get to show in the cinema because it's Netflix.
So you mentioned before, so you obviously know which films, your most successful films, which are taking the most amount of money. So have you got like a top 10 list of all your all-time best films?
I'd still say Skyfall is probably the biggest film.
Alright.
3 weeks and it was still selling out.
I think
Wow.
and it was like every show.
And to be fair, whenever
I don't even think I've seen it. I've seen, because I'm not into James Bond. I saw Casino Royale.
well, whenever the next Bond film materializes, it will do similar business. They
Right.
always do.
Yeah, Star Wars again
Yeah.
will be up there.
Yeah.
It's all the kind of big ones that you
Is
do
there another
expect.
Star?
There's one this Christmas coming,
Oh,
but we haven't
right.
got the title yet. Over
No,
than
I thought that
episode
nothing had been
9.
released yet.
It's the end of the trilogy, the new trilogy.
Yeah.
But that will be, I'd say, that busy. Although We had the Han Solo film earlier last year, and I mean,
I'm
everywhere-
3/4 of the way through watching that. I keep
Yeah, because it does not demand your attention. Does it? Yeah, you're not bothered. You went into a charity shop where there's a lady working there that listens to our podcast, and she said to him, "I've never heard such a bland and unenthusiastic review for a Star Wars movie as what you two give."
God,
Solo."
I hope she doesn't listen to it in front of all the customers with all the swearing.
Oh
yeah, just in British.
a charity shop.
That's
yeah,
what they
full of
play it
pensions.
through.
I think the more animated you get something, the more Fs come out.
Yeah, that's. You've probably noticed that today.
Just happened. Never mention Bohemian Rhapsody ever again.
No,
Well,
I won't now. No.
That and the other film that sets me off is Wonder Woman,
Oh yeah, but like,
because I hate that with a flat out
I didn't
passion.
mind it. When I got Now TV and my new fancy TV, that was the first thing, because it was just the first thing on there. So I'll watch that. I watched it. It was all right.
I don't think she can act. And I hate how all the other actresses on Amazonia have to do her accent. I hate-
thought of that?
When she's a kid and she falls out of that tree and she goes, "Hello, mother, how are you today?" I was like, this is the worst thing ever. And there's this bit I've gone off it.
You've set him off.
There's this bit where she's walking through a party for all these Germans, and she's got a sword down the back, and
Oh,
there's
yeah.
tons of people behind her, and it's like no one's going, "That woman has a sword." and there's a bit where what's his name? Chris Pine? Yeah, Chris Pine's supposed to be
Pine.
this master of like different accents and language so he can blend into any situation. But they have this massive scene where they're just doing accents, and it's like, is this a low? Like fucking have them speak the language and subtitle it.
Yeah.
Because this was a big argument of mine. I was like, it's just dumbing it down. When you've got like those more recent Planet of the Apes movies came
Yeah.
out, and the apes speak in sign language, so that's already a big tick. But then it's all subtitled. That last one is like more than half the film is subtitled because of sign language.
But don't you think a lot of the mainstream films dumb things down just for mass consumption?
Oh, absolutely. But my issue with Wonder Woman was everyone says it's a fucking masterpiece, and everyone was
wouldn't
kicking
go that
off.
far.
Everyone was kicking off that it wasn't Oscar nominated.
I feel like
I definitely don't think it's.
Yeah.
to be fair, I feel like the same thing as, and recently listening to other like film journalists talk about it as well.
They were too afraid.
Yeah, no, immediate reaction. Wonder Woman is something new. It's something we've never seen before. Even without thinking about the context of everything else, it's like there has been those films before. Same with Bohemian Rhapsody. People immediately loved it. Then once you've got the time to linger and think about it, it's like, no, why is Bohemian Rhapsody Oscar nominated for Best Film? Why isn't If Beale Street Could Talk, which is about to come out, but or which is out this week? Why is that not in there?
That grabbed you, didn't it?
Yeah, I was actually, you made me think about it before, because when you mentioned the, like with Jerry Bruckheimer, but the feeling of those films and the music just kind of being there and being part of it. So If Beale Street Could Talk is Barry Jenkins, who's a director of Moonlight. I don't know if you saw that. It won the Oscar a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah. I know of it. I've not seen it.
Yeah, so that film affected me,
Right.
like possibly too much. But the music in that is very much a part of it. And actually, the directors came out and said that the film could work by itself, but the
Right.
music could not work by itself. They need each other and
Work together.
Yeah, together. And I mean, this film I came out of in sobbing uncontrollably.
Wow.
Which
I can't say films ever had that effect on me.
well, that's it, yeah.
We're always talking about films that make us cry.
Yeah, we do.
How to Train Your Dragon 2 makes me cry.
My Girl.
yeah,
because that's Macaulay Culkin
Marley and
dying.
Me.
I'd
Yeah.
pay for that.
Marley and Me.
Marley and Me.
I've never seen it, but mainly because everyone says it's just upsetting. Plus, I have a dog.
I can't. Well, yeah, I
don't-
can't remember if have I told you the story about me and the missus when we were away for a weekend and we used to take the laptop. Get us a DVD to watch while one night. And I hadn't seen the film. I didn't know what it was about. I just saw.
Got a dog in it.
I saw Jennifer Aniston. I saw a puppy. I thought, oh, great, perfect. She'll love that. Fast forward to midnight. We're watching this film. Missus is bawling her eyes out, and next door come knocking on the door, going, "Is everything okay?" And I'm opening the door, going, "Yeah, everything's fine." She's behind me, going, "Yeah, I'm okay." I'm like, oh my god, what must that look like to people? Oh god. So now I always try and find out. I would never make her watch a film if I didn't know what it was about. Jesus, that was a disaster.
I'm a little more emotional now. I've got a little kid.
And as you get older.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, stuff I would have scoffed at in my teens. And
Yeah.
just like, oh no, rubbish.
A movie could never bring me to tears.
Yeah, I remember the Tom Cruise Steven Spielberg film Minority Report.
Yeah.
Has a happy ending. And I remember in the cinema
film.
going, oh, I fucking copped out because it had a fucking happy ending. Oh, I can't believe it didn't stick to his fucking guns. And then I watched it years later, and I was like, what was my fucking problem? These characters have gone through such a horrible film that a happy ending was nice.
Yeah.
And that's now. I mean, there's still occasions where you're like, the happy end. If a happy end is tagged on, you're like, that is not true to this film's message. But you know, Minority Report, they were right to put that happy ending on. I was just a knobhead. Fucking early. I was probably just about to go into university, so I was gearing up for that sort of arsehole mentality you get at uni. It is the pretension. I mean, I guess I'm still pretentious because you never get rid of it, but I'm more accepting.
It's understanding the pretension, I think, is and
Yeah.
being like open
But
to
also
other things as well.
But I've been involved in so many film productions now that I'm willing to look at things and go, well, people worked fucking hard on that. And I know I'm here shitting on Wonder Woman and Bohemian Rhapsody, but you know,
It's just your opinion at the end of the day.
yeah. But you look at things and you think, well, people have worked hard, and I start to look at a film as like different elements. Like, I remember someone once saying to me, no, a film is just good or it's bad and there's nothing else to it. And I was like, well, that's bullshit, because you could think a film's not very good, but my God, the costumes and the makeup in that film was
Or
incredible.
The soundtrack or
Yeah,
whatever.
exactly. And that's the thing with Bohemian Rhapsody, is like the soundtrack is incredible. I
yeah.
kept saying to people, it's lucky enough to have the greatest soundtrack ever put to film.
True, yeah.
So, yeah, it's all about elements.
It's like, what's that? Was it American Beauty?
Yeah,
The music to that. What's the guy's name?
Newman.
Thomas Newman. Thomas Newman, yeah. He's got a very specific sound.
Yeah.
And I thought the film was weird, but
I feel at the time when
music
that
struck
came
me.
out, that music was like something else. It was something new. It was like, oh my God, that's a big Hollywood film. It's got Hollywood stars in it, but this music feels like an indie film.
yeah, but part of it made the mainstream. Like the American Beauty the soundtrack made
Yeah.
millions.
Absolutely.
Got remixed and made to dance tunes and
He's
various
a very
stuff.
particular like composer though, isn't he? I mean,
Yeah.
like when you hear a Thomas Newman soundtrack, you kind of know it is a Thomas.
I think it
Newman
was
soundtrack.
Jakarta was the artist who made the mint off that.
yes,
he did a remix of American
That
Beauty.
does ring a bell, yes.
And it was number one for ages, I remember, all over the world. And it made like mainstream pop charts, but also like dance charts as well. Because he did a few different versions of it.
That was that time as well when
Early
dance
2000s, wasn't it?
dance was the be all and end all. Late 90s, early 2000s. That
Trancey kind of.
that trance piece of music that's in the club, the Vampire Club from the opening of Blade. That was like everywhere.
Tiesto and all that.
Oh, the Mortal Kombat theme got like a big dance thing, and it just you keep hearing sound bites from the game where it just keeps going, Scorpion, fatality, finish him, Sonya. Yeah, that was a huge, because weirdly the Mortal Kombat movie soundtrack that went like platinum just for that dance hit.
Well,
But it was a good track.
Yeah, well, it certainly worked for the film.
It did, yeah. Film's all right. So I think it's one of the better computer game to film adaptions.
Yeah, they don't. By and large, they don't normally work, do they?
No,
really.
I think we've done we did an episode on it, didn't we?
I think we did,
about
yeah.
how terrible they all are.
I mean, Street
most
Fight
of
is
them.
garbage, but at least it's entertaining.
Yeah.
Whereas Mortal Kombat, I feel like they nailed what the game is, and there's
Because
not
I
much
often
plot
wonder
there.
what is their aim to when you change a game to a film. Do they want to make it exactly like the game, or do they want to take it somewhere else? But usually, whatever they do, it never works.
Yeah.
Which ones have worked?
Well, like I say, I think Mortal Kombat works.
Yeah, to a certain degree. Yeah.
And
The new Tomb Raider is apparently okay.
I heard it wasn't that good.
No,
but
right.
neither
Have
of us
any
have
of the
seen it,
Tomb
have we?
Raiders been good? I don't.
Once again, the first one is sort of dumb fun. So I
Yeah.
suppose you've got the entertainment of a younger Angelina Jolie bouncing around many locations.
Well, yeah,
That's
there is
fun.
that. But that's the game. The game was like that as well.
Yeah, but at least that's a real person.
That's true. What about Resident Evil? I've not seen any of the films.
Quite
I've
like
only
the
played the
first
games.
one.
Do you like the first one?
I thought the first one was okay.
Oh, I
I
didn't
thought that
might
as a
be
concept would
nostalgia
work
thing.
because it's like horror sort of shock kind of thing.
but they didn't film it
Yeah.
like the games are.
I remember playing the game, shitting myself.
Yes,
Like someone
yeah.
jump out the wall and it had the music,
Yeah.
and I was like, fucking hell.
You'd play right through the night, and then
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then in the morning you'd be paranoid as fuck. Not
Yeah, that's true.
looking at the ceilings in case there was a giant spider up there.
Yeah, you're like looking behind a bookcase. And
Yeah.
then, damn, that was a good game.
The issue with the first Resident Evil was that in a film where you've got quite a lot of characters and you think, well, all of them are going to get torn apart by zombies, that's going to be awesome. There's a bit where they end up in a room with a laser and half of them get cut in half by this laser, and it's like,
yeah.
why didn't you get to the zombies and let the zombies tear them apart? That's what I'm here for, not a laser.
Yeah, like I remember, I can't remember which Resident Evil it was, but there was where the beast that you were trying to either get past or kill responded to sound. So you had to be really
Yes.
creepy. If you made like bold
Yeah.
movements, it would come near you because it could hear you.
Yeah.
So there was really tense moments where you were right next to it, where you had to just
Yeah.
make not enough noise, but you had to move to get past it.
Yeah.
Oh, I always thought that would be how tense would that be in a film?
Yeah.
Translate. But I don't know if it's ever going to be. I mean, we say about like music and film being connected as an art
Yeah.
completely. Maybe they should just stop trying to make video. Maybe they should just keep video game as an art of its own. It
Do you know
doesn't
what we're
need
getting
to
this
cross
year?
mediums.
You know what's coming. Do you know what's coming this year? The Sonic the Hedgehog movie
Oh my god,
with Jim Carrey as Dr. Robotnik.
that sounds awful already.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a poster where it's caused massive controversy because he's kind of silhouetted and down on his knee, but his knee looks like a big dick. And we've got that poster.
Oh, why haven't we got it up yet?
Oh, because I
We'll put
just
like a little.
Because someone's just going to
smiley
draw on
face
it to
up.
make it
Yeah.
Yeah.
like it actually is.
I also think the films might be too far away to get that poster out yet.
That's the thing, isn't it? Like with
Is that
posters.
is it for this year?
It is this year, but I don't know when.
I think is it September or August time?
Oh, there you go. I'm definitely not putting
I've
the
not
dick
seen it
poster out
advertised.
yet. Then
Get it on the calendar. Can't wait.
Yeah.
It's mainly got a like backlash because of the design of Sonic the Hedgehog is nowhere near what he's designed for in the games.
yeah,
Long legs.
He's
and-
got like pink arms and pink legs,
kind of creepy looking.
and in the poster, it's implied that he's covered entirely with fur and doesn't wear white gloves.
And he's not
Oh.
blue.
Well, he is blue, but it just doesn't look like the signature Sonic the Hedgehog
Yeah.
design.
And they've given him a hell of a dick.
Giving him almost human-like features instead of just having like really gangly arms and legs. He's got muscular legs, like a human.
Yeah, it's,
Silly.
it's weird. Do you know if the whole film is going to be CGI or he's going to be CGI in a real world?
I think it's
I
a
imagine
real
it's going to be
world.
like
Is that
the
like
latter.
that?
Yeah.
The rabbit one?
Peter Rabbit.
Peter.
No, not Peter Rabbit. The one with what's his name? With the female character everyone fancied.
Yeah, blah, 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 blah. Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes,
yes.
that's kind of like that. That's kind of half and half, wasn't it?
Yeah, but then Peter Rabbit as well. It's obviously
Yeah, actually, I
you
have
had-
seen that.
Yes, you had Sam Neill as a very Irish Mr. McGregor.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, so I didn't know if it was going to be that or all animated because that means I mean, is Jim Carrey going to be in a fat suit with
can't-
this grip?
Yeah, yeah. I thought because he's very round, isn't he?
Yeah,
I thought Jim Carrey had kind of left doing his more
Comedic
kinda-
roles.
Yeah,
or
he's
energetic
going doing
roles.
deeper
Because he kind of got
things,
he kind of started doing all the same stuff. Like
yeah, and then he had some kind of not necessarily breakdown, but some kind of
well,
expansion of his
he was
mind.
stalking Emma
it's to
Stone.
his
wasn't
mind. That's a good way of putting it.
Yeah.
he?
Chemically assisted, I would imagine.
Well,
Well, Tom Cruise went through affairs like that as well. He went all over the place.
I think he's still in
Charlie
some-
Sheen. You know, they all go through it at some point, don't they?
Tom Cruise is a Scientology. I think that's what got to
Well,
him.
yeah, that's true.
still.
Yeah.
But it
poor Tom.
Has it been the other way around, where computer games come from a movie?
Oh yeah. Like, well, I mean, there was back in the 90s. There was regular, not very good adaptions of films into games. Like there was the Jurassic Park game on the Mega Drive. You could choose to play as Alan Grant or a raptor, and it was kind of good being a raptor. That was fun enough, but it didn't follow the plot of the film much at
Right,
all. But that was
yeah.
always the way. And there was a lot of in the 80s. You got a lot of Commodore 64 games that were really bad interpretations. Alien. Oh yeah, Aliens. I had Aliens on the Commodore 64.
That wasn't a bad game. I remember playing an Alien game, then I thought it was all right.
Yeah, there's those new ones now where
Alien
they're like,
Isolation.
yeah,
That's-
where you're there with the Marines and
Oh,
stuff.
well, what
aren't
did you
you
think of Ready Player One?
Oh, I liked it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I thought that was
Enjoyed it.
alright.
It's fan service,
Have
but
you
I
seen
don't
that?
mind
Okay.
that.
It was
Yeah,
good.
I
Yeah.
thought that was good.
It's
I like the concept of it before I saw it, so
I haven't watched it since, but I feel like now the next time I watch it, I'll be finger on the pause button and like looking at everything that's there because
Yeah.
there's so much.
there is. Yeah.
And references that I felt like I was like, oh, that's for me. That's for me. No one else will get that. There's a bit where when they're in the race, they go past an old style cinema, and the film playing on the cinema is Jack Slater, which is the film in a film
Last
in
Action
Last
Hero.
Action Hero.
Yeah.
And as soon as I saw Jack Slater, I was like, that's Last Action Hero.
No,
Yes.
I like Last Action Hero.
I
know.
do.
I know it's not a good film, but I
No,
liked it.
I think it is a good film. Its biggest problem was it went up against Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
And in the 90s, people weren't looking for Arnie to deconstruct his back catalogue of films.
Yeah, that's true.
But it's good. I love the bit where Charles Dance, he comes into the real world, kills the mechanic, and he
yeah.
goes into the street and he goes, hello, I've shot someone and I want to confess. And everyone's like, just shut the hell up.
It had some of his best one-liners in it as well.
It
in that
does,
film.
yeah.
What's the but he goes up to that guy. You want to be a farmer?
Yeah.
Well, here's a couple of acres.
Yeah. I love the bit where Arnie's just shooting up Charles Dance's limo, and
Oh,
Charles Dance is inside, and he goes, next time we'll get something better armoured, like a tank.
And apparently comes up with a lot of his own one-liners.
I believe so.
Oh,
He
good.
he like campaigns to put things in. And did you know that in the Terminator "I'll be back" thing, they wanted him to say I will be back.
Yes.
And he was like,
yeah.
"Oh, it doesn't kind of roll off your tongue. It doesn't
Yeah.
have as much meaning to it." And he said, "So I'll just try it." And he tried that at first, and they just said, "Yeah, all right, we'll leave it in." And he didn't know it was going to be. They didn't put that in. Like that line wasn't meant to be one of the hooks of the film that you'd
Yeah.
repeat. Same with get to the chopper.
Yes, yeah.
That was from a That's from the second generation of people. When it first came out, that wasn't. No one picked up on that. The
Yeah,
first
yeah,
time.
yeah.
It wasn't 20 years later when the next
When
set
we
of
all
like
started shouting
students
in pubs, yeah.
get to the chop. People all of a sudden started coming to Arnie going, "Get to the chop." He's like, "What?" he's looking around.
remember
Like,
this.
what chopper?
On the Blu-ray for Commando, you've seen Commando.
Yes.
You must have.
Yeah,
There's
course.
a bit. Yeah. There's the bit at the end where he sticks the villain on the steam pipe and he goes, "Let off a little steam, Bennett." There's on the Blu-ray you can watch all the alternative things he could have
See,
said.
I love stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
The other choices were not as good. They went with the right one.
Oh yeah, but it's just interesting if you're into films, and it's good to get to see some like even the extras that they put on, like how the stuff was made and
Yeah.
interviews with the cat. Sometimes I like the commentary. Are you?
I like commentaries.
Yes.
I don't often have the time, but
No,
when I do,
no.
I will.
That's the thing. I think commentaries, because it is, you're gonna kind of have to sit down and watch the film again. I find that difficult. I feel like
Well, at least you don't have to pay. You don't have to pay as much attention.
Well,
yeah.
I wallpapered the entire living room. No, it was just, I don't want to say the entire living room because my missus will hear this and go, "You fucking didn't." but she was at work and I wallpapered a whole wall to the commentary on the Simpsons movie. Which is a weird commentary because if you watch it
So
with the
like with the
commentary,
voices.
well, it pauses. It pauses if they have a point to make that's too
Oh, they
long
stop
for the
watching it
bit.
themselves and just talk.
It's just the image freeze frames and then they keep
right.
going. It goes black and white so you know it hasn't broke down, and then it starts up again and they keep
Yeah,
going.
because sometimes I've noticed on commentary they're still talking about something that's past, and
Yeah.
now they're on to the next scene, and
Yep.
a whole scene's gone past, and they didn't talk about that because we're still talking about the one from before.
Absolutely. So,
So
the
to
Simpsons
pause it,
movie
that's a
did
good
that, and it was
idea.
quite good. So I was just wallpapering a wall listening to that. Really, I don't know why I chose that, but I did.
So have you got any more plans for the podcast, or are you just going to keep doing what you're doing, or
I don't.
I guess.
are you able to have guests on? Does your setup allow you to have
yeah.
guests?
I mean, I think we've
We had a
thought about it
guest.
couple of
We had a
times.
guest one time when you were away.
have you had
Oh, was that
have
when
you
Joe
the
came on?
capability to have 3 people on it, or have you only got 2?
I mean,
We'd need another pop shield.
yeah. That's
Okay, right.
That's the
So the
extent.
guests would have to bring their own if they.
I guess, yeah. It's just the problem is like as you found out, it was very difficult to get us on this podcast
Yeah.
because of just schedules and
Yeah,
stuff.
I have that with most of my guests.
Well,
to be honest, but I'm
fair
used to
dues.
it. But I know what you mean.
you offered many dates,
Yeah.
and it was all like, can't do that. Next, can't do that.
Yeah,
can't do that.
he can't do that, but I can do that.
Yeah.
I can't do that, and he can do that.
And
but
I
it's just the
imagine
way
it was a
is.
bigger problem because there was 2 of us as well. So that it's easier to pin down one person.
Yeah.
But the problem we find is because of the nature of how we do it and when we do it, sometimes we can't even find the fucking time to record our own
Where
podcast.
do you do it usually?
Screen number 3.
Okay.
because it's
right.
comfortable. And then when we can't do it in 3, we do it in the fucking storeroom. And
Surrounded
that's
by
horrible.
sweet- Yeah, no. it's,
Sweets and alcohol around us.
Because I've always thought I'd love to, if there was a film coming out that I liked, I'd love to come and watch it and then do the podcast with you on yours.
Come
yeah,
on,
it-
that'd be.
we should
Yeah.
try and
I'd
set that
happily
up.
be your guinea pig for that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I don't mind. It'd be fun either
You
way.
can come and watch some like trash in the morning with us.
Yeah.
And then talk
Yeah.
afterwards.
I wish I wish we just had a room that was just set up
Yeah.
and we just wander up there and that
Everything's
was the
already set up
podcasting
and just
room.
hit record and go.
Yeah, I wish it was that rather than the interchangeable nature.
I kind of like the nature of it though because
What do you use? Have you got
it
like
is
a-
what it's supposed to be.
Zoom.
Zoom H.
Four,
One of
I
the
think.
H's? H4, yeah.
Yeah.
Has it got, so how many inputs does that have on it?
Well, it's we don't plug our own mics in. We're just we have a
okay.
this is how crap we are, right? so we're in
Well,
We're
the sound quality's
portable,
really
we're
good.
portable,
well, we're not
that's what we are.
facing each other properly for a start because we're on cinema seats, and obviously cinema seats aren't designed to face each other.
Right.
So we're both hooked round talking
Yeah,
to each other
slightly.
with a step ladder in between us,
Partial bar.
which we call partial bar.
Right, okay.
Because sometimes
where that came
the joke was because sometimes the only thing we can see our view of each other is obscured by a partial bar.
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
So anyway, and the Zoom is just in between us on this step ladder, and that's all it is.
But it does have XLR inputs on it.
It
so you
does,
plug in.
yeah. Oh no, you attach pop shields to the step.
So if I
ladder.
do come, I'll bring my own mics then, eh? I'll bring mics for everyone. There we go.
I think it would. I think all we'd need is another pop shield. It would work. You'd just
Right.
be. We'd be here, you'd be there. I think it would work. And then
I'll go for that.
it's better than we were used to. We used to be in screen number 2 because when we started, there wasn't a screen number 3.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So when we started, we used to have the Zoom on a bin. and it was next, and we'd
Balanced
be
on a
next,
bin.
balanced on a bin. We'd be next to a radiator, so the pop shields would be attached to the radiator, and we couldn't have the heat on because we had fucking pop shields on a radiator.
kind of don't want it to progress though. You kind of like I think the nature of it and the whole point of
Yeah,
us,
yeah.
like
It works. It works.
I mean, we've got staff from the cinema like Elizabeth, who used to work at the cinema, who listens to it to go to sleep because, like, when she was at
that a
uni.
compliment, or-
I don't know. I think it's familiar voices, but we did start as a kind of like, well, we talk constantly anyway, so
Yeah.
As
it's
long as she
just-
doesn't do horrible things whilst listening to our voices.
Right. You're gonna have to
She
tag her
would.
in this now.
Tag her in it.
Docker.
I'll tell her.
Yeah. Shout out to Docker.
you do, it's one a week you do, don't you?
You
Try
try
to.
to, yeah.
You try to, yeah.
And then every so often, we haven't done them in ages, but we do a teabagged episode.
It has been
where we-
years since we've done a teabag
Yeah.
episode.
We need to.
what
we
does that,
just-
what,
Well, basically, we just wanted to come up with a rude name for a specialist one. Like we did one that we just focused on the Reanimator franchise of
Okay.
movies, and there was
Right,
one
yeah.
where we just talked about Ben Wheatley's films. But
give them a good teabag.
it's always a joke that we're teabagging the people we're doing.
Yeah,
But it
yeah.
kind of died off because the podcast itself started to become a bit more broad, whereas when it
Yeah.
started, it was a bit more
a
focused.
bit more niche.
Yeah, but now it's so broad. We'll talk. I mean, you've heard us today. We
Yeah.
will go off on tangents,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah,
me.
there's-
Well, if anyone's sticking around listening, that's what they end up tuning in for.
The tangents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do
think-
loads of that on here.
Well, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I think.
But talking about going broad, I mean, I didn't used to have, when we first started, I wouldn't have thought to have you guys on because you're not in the music industry.
Oh, there you go.
But we sort of, as I've come across people who I think are interested in doing something cool, I just like, well, why not? Why restrict myself to just that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Plus, like everyone has a connection to music in
Well,
some
yeah, we've
form,
talked about
so
it. And it came up, didn't it?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean?
frequently.
So
It's. I mean, and again, like there is a little bit of a scene in Penrith, which is good. I mean,
Yeah.
even just plug and play and things like that. There is a community, and like Tim, obviously, Tatty Tim was on.
Yeah.
I assume he's a plug and play every time it's
Oh,
on,
yeah,
and like
yeah.
and Tom as well. Tom Corder Stanley
yeah,
as well.
I think Tatty Tim's only seen us at Plug and Play. He didn't see us when we played any like O2 or he didn't
Just
see us.
there.
He didn't see us play any of the bigger venues. He just because he's so busy and he can't.
Yeah.
I think he's a part-time firefighter as well, so he's also on call.
Apparently,
so he can only
yes,
like nip
yeah.
out to small
Yeah.
things.
No, that's.
He's a man of many talents.
He is. He's a
And his
great
baked
guy.
potatoes are amazing.
They are. Yeah.
And he almost saved your life.
Almost. my life was intact, but he helped me to my feet.
Were you there for the incident?
No.
No,
This
it wasn't that.
This
It
was
was
a separate one.
This was how long ago?
But we didn't realise none of this connection was made until after we'd finished recording. We were just packing up, and he goes, they were just talking about, that was me.
Yeah,
Was it
'cause
really?
I didn't think he'd had his baked turkey stand there for that long, so that's why I didn't think of that. But 13 years ago, when I was 12,
He's worked it out 13 years ago, 2 months.
It was that long ago. I got run over by the clock. I got
The
hit by a
clock didn't
car.
run him over, a car did. The car-
I'm pleased you questioned it because I was
Yeah,
going
because
to.
I was thinking.
I say next to the clock. I was hit by a car next to the clock in town. And yeah, and
Lost your shoe.
What's that?
Lost your shoe.
Lost my shoe. Yeah, it was
He got hit so hard, his shoe went flying across town.
in fairness, it was a pretty pathetic accident, and I was about to get up and walk home, but he held me down and said, "Don't worry, you're gonna be okay. We'll call an ambulance." Yeah,
Did you have any injuries?
I hurt my knee a little bit.
Okay.
That was about
He
it.
did his job, he was there.
He's
The
well.
same.
He's well placed in that area based on other things that have happened there.
I know some of
but
the stuff, he's just there for everything.
He is,
all,
yeah.
all the nutters, he's just like, oh, I see them all.
yeah,
I can't escape them. They come up to him, he's like, I've got nowhere to go.
we're the same. We get Roland Bateman on a regular basis.
Every town's got one.
Not like him though.
Well, that's true.
He is fabulously
Does he
unique.
go to the cinema?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Comes in, wants
Once a
to
week.
talk to us, gives us made up words that takes ages for us to work out what they mean.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
Do
he's.
you have like a large proportion of regulars who you see
Yes.
on a
Yeah.
regular basis?
Yeah. Loads of friendly, nice faces, and like I say, people
Always
who
people who want to talk.
they come back because they want to talk, don't they? So and obviously see great films as well. And
Well, the cinema in itself, it's an experience, isn't it?
yeah. But we've got such nice people that I just think like, well, if I didn't work here, I just wouldn't know this. See, I don't live in Penrith. I'm actually from Carlisle,
Okay,
so
right.
I'm not surrounded by all these people
Right.
who like everyone else seems to just know everybody and know everyone's business, whereas I'm this sort of enigma that's outside of it all. And
You're the enigma.
I'm not Roland. I'm just this sort of aggressive and sometimes rude person that they talk to in the cinema when I get angry about a film they like that I didn't. Like, who is this man?
So have you guys ever walked out of a film? Not necessarily at your own cinema, but just as a general punter.
Well, there's two ways there. I've walked out of a film because I was at work and I kind of felt, I should be doing something else. Really.
Yeah,
Right,
you,
okay.
you get
Like
that kind of-
it's not because it's shit. It's
Right.
just like you think, oh, I do have too much to do. This is kind of rude. And
Sometimes it is. Sometimes it's like when you're watching it. I mean, we can go in and stick on a film and go, oh, we're testing it, and then walk out. I don't think I've ever walked out of a film in terms of actually going to somewhere and then been halfway through. and
no,
going,
because you paid for it, haven't you?
Yeah, but it's not just that. It's like, a film can change massively by the point of the end. Like
True.
you can.
I would have walked out of Miami Vice, except I hadn't paid for it and someone else had, and I was like, that would have been immensely rude if
Yeah.
I'd gone just thrown that in their face.
You might as well chuck a tenner back at them. Here you go, I'm off.
Yeah, it got to that bit where Colin Farrell took this woman on a boat to have some kind of date in Cuba or something. I was like, I'm not here for this. That's not the film that's been pitched to me.
The only film I've ever walked out was in Newcastle. I always get them mixed up. Escape from LA and then Escape from New York.
I assume you walked out of Escape from LA.
Whichever the second.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Escape
that's
from
the
LA.
second
Because
one.
Escape from New York's one of the greatest
Oh,
films
yeah.
ever made.
I just there was like 5 of us, and I was like, I think I'm gonna leave, and they all just went, yeah, let's go. It's just I think we got about 25 minutes, half an hour in, and just went nah.
Can I say we recently? I recently rewatched Escape from LA, and I will say because I've never been a big
I
supporter
would watch
of
it again. Just this
Well-
this is like we're talking 20, well maybe
It was
15 years ago.
mid 90s when it
Yeah,
came
so
out.
a long time ago.
It has accidentally. It has accidentally seen into the future, and it says things and does things that's currently happening now with the
Right.
American government.
I'd watch it again
Okay.
because I'll probably see it through different eyes now. Because
I mean, you've got to ignore the absolutely fucking awful CGI and the surfing scene with Peter Fonda. If you can ignore those, but the president has Trump-like hair, and is a TV personality who has become president. He's a televangelist personality who's become president.
Right.
And one of the things that when after the earthquake hits and they turn LA into this prison, the woman that that Snake meets, her only crime was being a Muslim in America. And that's why she was deported to LA. And I was like, well, good God, that almost happened. That was so fucking close.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Escape from LA, for some reason, the current American government must have watched it and gone, there's some ideas.
Yeah.
Cracking.
Has there been many films where generally everyone's shit on it and you thought, I really like this? Maybe I shouldn't like this, but for some reason I do.
Both of us with Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Oh, God, yeah, there's only me and you on the planet that fucking love
Do you know how I
that.
could tell that didn't do so well? Because when I bought a 4K Blu-ray player, it came free with it. I was like, okay, so this is the shit film, but it must look really good in 4K HDR.
But
it does.
well.
Yeah.
It will.
And I watched it. I don't think it was that bad.
We were like violently passionate about how much we loved that film.
Like I
just had to listen to everyone tell us it was shit.
Not a massive fan of the first one, but then that second one.
Yeah.
Just I felt I don't know if it reminded me of the animated Spider-Man from the 90s or whatever, but every problem that someone had with it, I could refute. I was like, this isn't-
Also, once again, the score was brilliant in that film. There's a sort of a lone hero kind of trumpet used in it, where like when he's been away for a while towards the end and he comes back and the kid's sort of the kid who we saved earlier in the film is the Spider-Man mask out, and he goes out and he's gonna face off against Rhino, and it's like, this is insane, this kid's doing this, but Spider-Man has empowered that kid to go off and do that. And Spider-Man turns up just in time with this lone trumpet theme, and then it picks up and it swells and he goes running at Rhino, he webs that the sewer lid and starts swinging it, and it's just I've got goosebumps thinking about it. I was there. I was like, go on, Spider-Man.
Magic of film.
Go on, Spider-Man. So yeah, I just loved it. I loved it.
I feel like it's strange because we do seem to have on the podcast we do opinions seem to line up on quite a lot of films, and then every so often there'll be something which you really like and I really don't like, or the other
Vice
way
versa,
around.
Yeah, because you love Black Panther and I don't.
That's what makes the world go around. It's like music.
I loved Aquaman and you didn't. So yeah,
I haven't seen Aquaman.
It's all right. I said loved. I did love it actually. No, fuck it. It was good fun.
I remember the podcast episode.
Yeah,
raving about it.
Momoa's
I'd
a
watch
cracker.
it.
But yeah,
He's a good looking man.
I don't think he is. As you said from the podcast, I think he looks like a tramp with access to a gym. But the ladies just want him. They're so wet for him.
57% of the world's population would disagree with you, but
well, that's what it's all about. He's just.
Where did he come from? Was he
Game of Thrones? But before that, he was in one of those dreadful Stargate series.
Which is a thing actually. I'm wondering whether Game of Thrones will, for this last season, release episodes into the cinema,
or will there be a film?
Because
I think they're tying it up that there won't be a film.
6 episodes, but I feel like if they put every 6 episode into the cinema, which is not unheard of, like Doctor Who have done it before,
that's true.
and
Yeah,
Sherlock and things like that. I mean, obviously this is HBO and a bit bigger, but to see that, I don't know if you're a Game of Thrones fan. If you've ever
I must be in the minority. Another thing, I watched most of the first series. I was like, it's not for me.
Fair enough.
I tried because everyone was raving about it. Just saying with Breaking Bad, I love Breaking Bad, and that was one of the ones where I listened to the hype. I thought, I'll give it a try, and I loved it.
Yeah.
Game of Thrones, I tried the same way. No.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but my wife absolutely loved it, and she'd sort of told me things, and I was like, yeah, that's fine, it's enough.
What I love about Breaking Bad is the build-up. Like, most of the first series is just build-up. Getting to know... Because a lot of times, when you see something new, all these new characters get presented to you, and all this stuff's happening, but you don't really have any connection to the characters because you've just met them.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas it's spent really a long time putting the groundwork in, so you know these characters, you know what their life's like, you know some of their idiosyncrasies, you know their good points, their bad points, how they interact with other people that they know, and then in the second series that shit starts happening, and you're a bit more invested in it. You're like, oh my god, can't believe this is happening.
I felt the same way about Boardwalk Empire.
Right, yeah.
That was like, as you say, it's so many characters to begin with.
Yeah,
and it's like, I don't know these people, but they're so well drawn out that by the time you get to the end of the first series, I'm like, I'm there. Give me more. Give me as much as you can.
First series I ever felt like that with was 24.
Oh, right.
Which started in 2004, I think it was. I joined it later on. Like, I think only the first 4 series were out, and we just binge watched them all. But 24, it was like, way ahead of its time.
Yeah.
Like the first 2 series will never be beaten in terms of that type of show. It's just like you can't beat it. Got to like 4, 5, 6 to 7. It's like how many times can you tell the same story in a different way?
It's annoying the concept doesn't quite work because of adverts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you
'cause
don't, well,
it's
it's
an hour,
Oh, yeah,
isn't it?
but I
when
mean,
you binge watch it on your own, you don't have to worry about that.
no, but I mean it works less without the adverts because it's not actually 24 hours. Because
true.
they had to put adverts in it. So if they
Oh,
just
really?
Yeah, that's
if
true.
they'd made the show on a network that
Do you
doesn't
know what? You don't
have
really
adverts.
notice it when it just skips to the next scene.
Yeah.
You don't quite notice it because they've still equated for that time. You don't.
That's all right. If they've got that little jump in time, that's fine.
you know, it clearly indicates. It just goes for another clock change. It just tells
Right.
you that like 3 minutes have gone past.
All right, well, that's,
Sort of
that's
thing.
fine then. But it would be nice if you could watch it in the real time.
That's true.
of
But that was
the
one of the
film.
unique things about this. They
Yeah.
had to film it and realize like this person had to wear the same outfit for like 4 months to get through this one scene because it kept
Yeah.
going back and forward. Very like I don't think that's ever been done since.
Before
not like
or
that.
since, yeah.
I mean, that's the thing as well. TV is becoming such a cinematic
Well, it's like I was saying
medium as
about
well.
having big 4K TV. Like the soundbar is amazing.
Yeah.
Like it even makes normal TV. It's like it upgraded the sound. Like you've been watching Coronation Street, and the dog's going. Dog's like running to the window or the front door. There's someone at the door. I'm like, no, it's on the TV. It's like someone's opening a pack. I'm sure someone's got a packet of crisps out there. You're looking away from the TV.
I mean, thing is though, because I've got a young family and there's a dog as well. I find sometimes I can't always focus on what I'm intending to watch.
Yeah,
I got
it's finding the time, isn't it?
Was that? Yeah, I bought a film. On Blu-ray called The Haunting, which is from the early '60s, and it's a horror film that is all about atmosphere and it's all about light and shadow and all this sort of thing. And I was like, I'd seen it before, but I was like, this isn't going to work in my house. So that's when I actually went into the cinema and watched it by my own on one of the screens, and I was fucking petrified.
The best experience.
Yeah, it was. It was
I'd
like,
love to do that.
when the film is something we're playing ordinarily, you can program the lights to come up at the end. But because this was just a fucking Blu-ray, at the end there was no light. I was like, get to that fucking door.
It's the best way to watch a horror film, though. Just sat
Oh,
in the
yeah.
dark by yourself.
Well,
Like
yeah,
that.
you lot tried to fuck with me when I watched Hereditary by myself.
Yeah, we set up like a little down the bottom of the stairs as a sofa and just set up like a sheet covered up. It looked like it. Like,
Put
I thought
shoes
looked
underneath
quite
it as well, like shoes are poking out of the bottom.
Brilliant.
But
I don't think it worked.
no,
very
because
well, did
one of the staff hid in the downstairs toilet to hear what I would say. But my reaction was, and I just came out and I was like, for fuck's sake.
All right, yes, it's just too obvious.
I think you're just too used to these kind of things happening in the cinema.
Shenanigans.
So I'm not really into like the slasher horror gory films, but I like the more like suspense thrill or films where like less is more. But you're more sort of terrified of what you can't see than what you can see.
Oh well,
Like
Haunting is definitely that.
Signs. I know it's not a great
Signs.
film, but you
Oh,
know, with
I
Mel
like
Gibson
Signs.
with the crop circles and all that.
Yeah, we're
For
good with
how
signs.
little you saw,
Yeah,
it was quite. Oh my god!
Yeah.
It's like shit you up a bit.
yeah.
It's that
I
tension.
prefer that to sort of.
Because there's the Haunting, there's the Innocence, which is like similar time.
Yeah.
Ghost stories. I think ghost stories that are played well.
Yeah.
Again, like Signs, the Sixth Sense. It is a great ghost
Yeah.
story. I think it's those that don't just constantly give you everything that you want, because people sometimes want that. People don't want to sit there in a cinema and just
In moderation, it works. But
build
if the whole
tension.
film is just like gore and guts and
Yeah.
deaths and stabbings and
We like that as well. But we,
not a whole
But you
film of
watch-
it, surely.
But that's
yeah, I could go for that. The thing is, I look at every film individually. I don't dismiss a genre, and
Yeah.
it's just got to be, what does this individual film do? Because there's so much you can do with every genre that you can't. I just don't think you can pigeonhole. I just don't think you can.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'd watch a film that was just not. We will have watched films that's just non-stop gore. It's a fact. Those Arrow
Yeah,
video
it's-
ones, there'll be something there that we watched that was non-stop.
sometimes that's all you're there for, because there's not much else.
Yeah.
Although, and like we've talked about it before, but like Deranged, there's a film from, when is that? Is that 80s?
73.
73. So it's
Or 4.
Robert's Blossoms from Home Alone, who plays, have you seen Home Alone?
Yes.
So the neighbour in Home Alone.
Many times.
You know the old man that
I'm
they
old
think-
enough. I went to the cinema to see Home Alone.
Nice. You know the old man who's got the snow shovel and
Oh,
stuff?
yeah,
Right,
yeah.
yeah.
So he's in this film Deranged, and we expected it to be just complete trash, but it's actually kind of artful. It's the most artful trash I've ever seen in terms of the
Right.
fact that
Hardful trash.
yeah, I felt physically sick watching that film.
It's based on the Ed Gein sort of the serial killer, the cannibal, and all this sort of thing. And it's just about this guy. His mother's died, and he then just starts sewing people together and kidnapping people. And it was weird because we were
Oh,
both
God.
like, "Oh, that's the old man from Home Alone." But we were both like so pleasantly surprised. Even though it's horrific and the gore in it it'll make you want to be sick.
Yeah.
It's a lot of green. And we were just, but at the same time, it had an artistic nature to it, and it had something to say. And this man keeps walking on with a microphone and doing it like it's a news report, whilst the chaos is going on behind him, and it's just an artistic choice. And we were like, didn't expect that at all. And he was kind of comforting and it was obviously the director going, "This is the only comfort you're going to get. This is the only time we're going to separate the action." And then eventually he slowly but surely
disappears.
stopped appearing, and we're like, now we don't have this nice sort of, it's now a news report kind of activity.
Is there anything that's kind of given you that reaction in terms of like you've been to the cinema or watched a film and you just felt gut wrenchingly?
Well, I don't really go to that many for the gory ones, but like House on Haunted Hill, remember that?
I do. Yeah. Saw that in the cinema.
Yeah.
That was quite good. That had a quite of a, because that was more ones where you didn't see much, but what you
Yeah.
did see was pretty terrifying. I remember going to see Saw.
Yeah.
They're pretty. They're very graphic, aren't they?
Yeah, they are.
I don't mind.
I
them.
like those
Just
Saw
they don't,
movies.
Like, it's not like I'm scared of them. They make me, I can't watch them. They just
No,
don't.
but-
I'm just don't do much for me.
No.
I prefer, like I say, I prefer the sort of thought of what you can't see has
Yeah.
more effect on me than what you can see.
You
sort of thing.
maybe should check out The Haunting then.
I maybe
Like,
should.
There is,
Yeah.
There's genuinely nothing in that film. It's just shadows and,
Yeah.
and amazing sound design.
Ah,
But
right.
you'd really want to be in an area where you're not going to get disturbed or anything.
Right.
It's this. Do you know the Netflix series The Haunting of Hill House that's doing the rounds at the moment?
Yeah.
So it's the same story,
Okay.
but
right.
obviously the film version is truer to the book, and the new series is like a much widened
Yeah.
experience.
Oh,
But
that's
great
that's
as
another
well.
thing I was going to talk about is the difference between when you've read the book and then you watch a film,
Mm-hmm.
or if you do it the other way around. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, because obviously film sometimes we've only got 90 minutes to tell this story. Let's cut that out.
Yeah.
And with a book, obviously, it's part of your imagination. So
Yeah.
I think the
certain films.
general consensus is that and a lot of people say, "Oh well, the book's always going to be better than the film," and I think that's so.
Not always.
It's difficult. People do quite often say that if they come into a cinema into the cinema and they're seeing a film that is from a book that they've read, and they're like, "Well, I'm not expecting it to be as good as the book," and it's taking something away from film when you're saying that. And actually,
Yeah,
I think
that's
there's
true.
a lot of times where I've watched something having read the book, which is that's the portrayal that I wanted to see. That maybe, I mean, the thing is with the book is you're kind of projecting.
You're
what
creating
you
all the
feel.
imagery, aren't you?
Yeah. So if someone's taking that and making it something else, sometimes that makes it a bit more impersonal, and that's why people don't like it. I think, but I think there's a lot that can be. I mean, why are the Harry Potter films so successful in
And
that
Lord of the
sense?
Rings.
And Lord of the Rings, and actually, Lord of the Rings. I mean, I've never read the books, but I wonder to what extent.
I read half of the first one. I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
I like Harry Potter, but I'm not really into all that fantasy stuff. So like Lord of the Rings didn't really work for me. But I liked Harry Potter. But obviously I've never read the books. The only this is what made me think of the other day on I think it was on Now TV. One of them. Have you seen the film The Mexican with Brad Pitt?
Yes. Yeah.
That was the only film where I've read the book for, because I don't really read books of films or like fictional stuff.
Yeah.
So that's the only film I've ever seen where I read the book first, and actually the film held up. I thought it was quite true to the book, and they didn't cut too much out because they let it. I think it was an hour and 45, so they more time to keep stuff in. Usually I'm seeing a film there's a book of, but I've never read the book, so it doesn't really make that much. It really makes a difference if you have read the book, then you see the film.
Yeah.
People get really.
I actually think Cormac McCarthy, so like No Country for Old Men and The Road, I feel like you can watch, particularly those two films, you can watch them and they are their own thing, even if they are very similar. I think those adaptations of the book are really well done.
Yeah.
But you can read the book. It's because the language is so kind of lyrical in that sense. And that kind of deep West. storytelling, which translates both ways. I think he is a perfect, but he's a scriptwriter as well. So
That's true.
it's been, but yeah, I do think it's I don't think that should always be the mindset that you come into seeing a film and it's like, well, it's never gonna be.
Yeah. You should try and be a bit more open-minded. Hopefully, they've done a good job.
Yeah,
of telling
Yeah.
the same story.
A lot of people were shitting on Ready Player One. They were saying the book is better.
See, I didn't even know that was a book.
Yeah, I mean,
Didn't even know.
I've read some of the book, but it kind of depressed me a bit.
Okay.
But to be fair, the opening of Ready Player One depressed me quite a bit, and then it moved so quickly that I was dragged out of the depression. It's like, yay,
Oh, the Great
there's all these things, but you know, I there's always an initial depression with futuristic dystopian films of like, shit, I would not like to live in a stack of caravans
Yeah,
or
that's
any
true.
other such thing. So yeah, whereas the book, you can't get through the depression quick enough.
Yeah. Can you think of like examples that jump out of you of films where you had, I need to watch that again? I don't really know what I just watched. Like really confusing or bit out there.
I was going to bring it up with you in terms of this kind of like something that affects you. And we watched Climax recently, or I'd already watched it once.
I don't know what that is.
So it's Gaspar Noé. Now you're not a fan at all.
I-
don't
I
I've
don't
know.
know who that is either.
No, it's-
Come round a little on it, but go on.
I don't know if you, so Irreversible or Love, or I'm trying to think of his other films, but basically it's a film about a dance troupe that gets spiked with LSD at a rehearsal party, and
It's not funny.
and it's there. Well, I don't know though. I found it.
It isn't funny.
This is why it's like I really enjoyed that film, and I'm not sure I was supposed to enjoy it, or maybe I was, but watching this dance troupe kind of descend into hell and then almost come out of it and go back in, and it that trip as well that they have, I just felt, and at the end of the film, I think the film's made for this. I could have pressed play again and just watched it all over again.
I could not.
And it's not.
I thought it was so bleak that it was boring.
Okay.
And
Too bleak.
Too bleak that I was just like, oh god,
I don't want to go there again.
I'm just tired. I'm tired of seeing people almost
dancing
die
all the way
horribly.
through. Even through the most horrific scenes, I was like,
See, the best music was early on as well. So after that, I was like, oh, I want the good music
to
back.
get past the Daft
I want the
Punk.
good dance music back.
And that wasn't necessarily because I didn't understand. Maybe I didn't understand the fact that I'd enjoyed it so much and was a little bit wary of my own mindset of why did I enjoy?
Should
Why did I get
should I have enjoyed
entertainment
that? I
from
think I
that?
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I was supposed to or not.
What does this say about me?
I think like most folk, this isn't a very exciting answer, but like most folk, back in the day, I got to the end of 12 Monkeys.
I was just going to bring that up. That was the
Yeah.
one I was going to... Because
I
is
think-
that Bruce? Not Bruce Willis.
Yeah, it's a Bruce Willis, yeah.
Is it Clint Eastwood who directed?
No, it's Terry Gilliam.
Okay.
So I got to the end of 12 Monkeys, like everyone who's just like, fuck, stick that on again.
Yeah.
What have I missed? Because you think it's one thing for so long. I won't spoil it because I know you've
Oh,
never
yeah,
seen
I've
it,
seen
but
it,
you
yeah,
think
I
it's
do.
one thing for so
Yeah.
long, and then you suddenly twist, and it's like, I need to watch that again and see the clues that lead to this.
Yeah, how did I not notice that?
Yeah, I would have said Sixth Sense, but annoyingly, that twist was spoiled for me before I got anywhere near the film. So I have never had the experience of the Sixth Sense necessarily.
This is the other thing we're obsessed with. We get this on TV, them like force feeding you the trailers or telling you what's about to happen, what's coming
Yeah.
up next. It's like, why? I don't understand. I think it's come from America,
They-
especially in
yeah.
TV.
This-
Coming up today, coming up next time.
Yeah.
I already, like, especially if you already know the show. I don't want to know. I just want to watch it. I want to experience it for the first time. I don't know what's coming up.
I think it feeds into this whole, I mean, what we were saying before about the favourite and expectation, and I guess soap operas. Magazines are released for soap operas every week.
You could
that
go
say-
into a shop. All you got to do is look at the covers. Or I know she's gonna have a baby.
Yeah.
He's having an affair.
Yeah.
Oh no, that's
Oh,
coming
he's
up.
dead. This
Yeah.
is exactly
Characters
how
gonna
it's
die
going to
Yeah.
be.
tonight, yeah.
And then, I really like. I find it hard to understand the need for that. Why you would
Yeah,
want to
exactly.
read that before seeing it, unless it's to prepare people to make people
I get
more
them
comfortable.
needing to do it to attract new people who don't know what it is. But you should have. There should be somewhere where before you watch it, do you want to know what's coming up? No. Okay. Here's the show.
Yeah. rather than
The A Team used to have before the opening titles of the A Team, you'd get a
Yeah.
quick montage of what you would see that episode. It's like, what's
Yeah.
the point in this?
Coming up today. Well, I'm here watching it. What are you telling me?
Yeah.
I don't need to know. I'll just let me watch it. For fuck's sake.
Once I get through the greatest title sequence ever put to television, I'll see your
Yeah.
episode.
There was a thing. Coronation Street do it if there's got a big storyline coming up. You know there's a big storyline coming up because it starts telling you what's coming up.
Yeah,
They don't
yeah.
normally do it for the rest of the year, but when it gets to the big Christmas storyline, next week, watch out. Like,
it's like people
great.
are watching it anyway.
I know.
Like, why you don't need to.
You might as well just read all the magazines and talk to people about it. You don't need to watch it.
Yeah.
It's all there. It tells you everything.
Yeah.
There's an industry within itself. The gossip. The gossip kind of. Oh, like. What pants has Kim Kardashian bought this week? I don't give a fuck. Why is it? Why is this news? Why is this in the news? Why are you telling me about this?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know why my TV was on channel E. You know, the E
Yeah,
network, with the
Yeah.
exclamation mark. But I've got Sky, so I was watching
Yeah.
things on the planner, and then every time I'd switch off the planner, it would go to E. And like I say, I don't know what the hell I'd been watching beforehand at E. But every time I switched off, it was either the Kardashians or this thing where they're now following Caitlyn Jenner in a thing called I Am Kate.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is there so much devoted to this? What is going on? Why was it all Kardashians or then the spin-off Caitlyn Jenner? It's just
These people were famous for nothing.
for absolutely
What
nothing.
other-
And I tell you
Kim
this,
Kardashian sex tape. That's where it's all come from.
if Robert Kardashian was still alive, he would have kept his daughters in check.
Yeah, true.
If that man can defend O.J. Simpson in court,
And win.
he can and win. Well, he wasn't the main fucker, he wasn't the main win, but if he can defend O.J., he could have kept those girls in check.
Very true. Very true.
But he died.
But like the fact there's a whole channel like ITVB and
Yes.
all this-
Yeah.
these channels dedicated to reality TV when actually it's the most fake thing you can watch, even though it's called
Yeah.
reality TV.
Yeah.
It's just
There's
a
nothing real about
distraction.
it.
It's insane, and I don't need to know what Bruce Jenner turning into Caitlyn
No.
Jenner is all about. I don't know.
No
or
one
care.
cares.
The only thing that I care about is that he actually now sounds like Dr. Evil. And I didn't notice that until until yesterday when it got on, and I was like, wow, that's.
How much have you been watching?
It was just a snippet, and
Oh,
then
okay.
I found an interview with her when she was a man, and I was like, surely he must have sounded like Dr. Evil originally, and he didn't. So he's transitioned into a female Dr. Evil. I found that very confusing.
I think you sold the reality TV show.
just
actually,
to hear that voice.
Yeah.
It's crackers.
I
But I don't care. I don't know why they do it. I don't know who's watching it. Who's keeping up with the Kardashians? That's what it's called, isn't it? Keeping up with the Kardashians.
Yeah.
Who's watching it unless they're watching their
Like-
films on the planner and then going back accidentally to the
And all
E
these
channel?
Real Housewives of Orange County and Real Housewives of LA. It's like I
Yeah,
don't understand
yeah.
why. And the like Made in Chelsea, where it's kind of like
Yeah.
partially made up and
Yes, yeah.
scripted, but like supposed to be half of it's real. It's like
I don't even understand how that's possible. But then people have a go at us for liking film, and they'll be like, well, that's all scripted, and there's no surprises, is there?
Well,
'Cause
there
it's
is
all
if you don't
scripted
watch
and
the fucking
planned out.
trailers and know what's coming up.
Exactly. I don't know. Each to their own.
No, who really knows?
Who
But-
does?
Well, I think we talked about this before in terms of, like, I think I've said to you, TV at some point in terms of what it is right now should surely die at some point, or like because I mean, but that's from my own reflection because I don't have TV in terms of like I'll
I
have
think
Netflix
they should
and
now officially be able to call it, or they should always call it fake TV. Whenever they return to reality, it should be called fake TV.
Fake TV.
I'm okay with it then. Just put it up. To the
Yeah.
side. If
Yeah.
you want to watch fake TV, watch fake. Don't call it reality television.
It's crazy though, because like drama has got so good now,
Oh yeah.
and then at the same time, reality television or fake television has got to such a mad powerful level that maybe that's why drama had to get as good as it has. Because people were going to the cinema because all that was on TV was like, here's a program where 30-odd people claim they can sing.
Oh yeah, or Big Brother or something like
Here's
that. Yeah.
a program where people are skating.
Yeah.
You know,
Or the modern freak shows.
The modern freak shows, yeah.
They say it's. I mean, I feel like Channel 5 is the worst for that. But
Well,
Yeah. Well, they acquired Big Brother, didn't they? But it's Big Brother finished now. Apparently, it's gone.
yeah, I think they've killed it.
Oh, fuck for that.
Finally.
I think I definitely watched the first one.
Yeah,
then I watched
because
the
it was
second one.
It
But
was
that was when
morbid
it was
curiosity at the start.
organic and no one really knew what they were watching. It was like an experiment. It was really interesting.
Yeah.
But then you just started getting people coming on for their 15 minutes of fame, and
Yeah.
it's just like that changed the whole. Then they were making sure they had clashing characters in it to make sure there was arguments and fights, and it's just like, I'm not watching that anymore. I'm done.
Well, I mean, we're in a better situation than we were in the 90s. Like, I remember having to go and stay at my nana's house. And then it'd be like, right, so we'd have to watch Stars in Their Eyes, Blind Date, Casualty.
Proper telly.
Some fucking game show where Matthew Kelly has to dare other people to do other things.
Oh, yeah,
It's
yeah.
just, I don't... It was called, no,
Yeah.
it was called You Bet, I think.
You Bet, yeah, remember that.
It was just all garbage.
That's now Challenge TV. Just
Challenge
watch Challenge TV. Brilliant. It's all on there.
But Challenge TV have picked only the good stuff, like catchphrase.
No, you
gonna say
Bet was
catchphrases
on there at one point.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
no.
Bullseye and all the.
Bullseye. At least with Bullseye, you've got the hilarity of how low the money prize is.
Yeah. Sorry, did I interrupt your point?
No.
I thought I interrupted you.
No, it's just this. Was better now because there's more choice. But
Yeah.
back in the day, I had to watch Blind Date.
But I love all that. But I think it's probably because it's just nostalgia. Just
Mm.
takes you back to that time. But I don't know. Saturday Night TV. Like I love Ant and Dec Saturday Night Takeaway because that's sort of a throwback to the old kind of style shows.
I don't like them, so it
Oh, I don't
never
mind
worked
them.
for me.
I don't mind them.
I kind of like, what was it called? SMTV.
Oh
Live?
yeah. Them and Cat Dealing.
Yeah, I thought they were better when they were.
That was good banter. That.
Well, yeah,
that
when
was.
when it was kids stuff.
Oh yeah, we're not Saturday
Yeah,
morning.
like-
Yeah.
All hands on deck and
Yes,
you know,
and
wonky donkey.
yeah, challenge
donkey.
and
Aye.
yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
That was good.
It's just that thing though now. I mean, it is good that you've got so much choice, but it is that paradox of choice of just there is so much, and it's just all.
And nobody has
all
any
a big
time these days.
distraction. Yeah,
You never have any time.
And then
Especially if you've got kids, I would imagine. You have less time.
Yeah, I mean,
Or they dominate what you watch.
a bit, yeah.
Again.
Yeah, there's a. I mean, to be fair, we found a cartoon that is brilliant called Hey Dougie, and it's narrated by Alexander Armstrong, and it's very funny.
Oh, yeah. Someone else mentioned that.
So I'm happy with Hey Dougie, but it is on a lot.
Oh, before I forget, that's what I was going to mention. That's just kind of tied it in. Films that everyone likes. That's like something like say it's technically like it's for kids, but everyone can like it. Like say Monsters Inc. or
Oh, I see. Yeah, Goonies.
Quite often it's the animated side of things, but there aren't that many films where it's for literally it says a film for everybody. It literally is for everybody. Where 5-year-olds can enjoy it, but so could like a 60-year-old.
That was more true in the 80s, though. That was when you were getting live action films that could appeal to everybody.
Because
I
they didn't have
think.
too much violence or swearing, and they were quite funny.
Yeah.
And they were,
Pixar though, I mean, maybe not as much recently, but I feel like Pixar have always been making films that are for everyone.
like I made the mistake with Frozen. I didn't know. I saw Frozen. I didn't know what it was. I halfway through I was like, "This is for 6-year-old girls. This is not for me. Why didn't anybody tell me?" That's kind of. It's just like I in my mind I was thinking like Monsters Inc. I love Monsters Inc. Oh, great! I'll go watch it, but it's not for me.
We were at we were at a Disney Roadshow many years ago. This was just before Frozen. It
About
was
5 years ago.
Yeah, so it was the build up to Frozen, and no trailer had come out either. And we were shown the entirety of the song "Let It Go." And I remember, this was like no context. We didn't know what the hell this was. We were just shown it, and I remember thinking, "My God, that's catchy. That's gonna be a bit of a hit." Never did I imagine in a million years at that point what that song was going to become.
Yeah.
But it was it's a strange experience to be in a cinema and experience just that song out of context.
Plus the reaction that it.
Yeah, the
reaction.
buzz we had around us, because that's what they do at Disney Roadshows. They're like, we've got this coming up, we've got that coming up. So we got
Guardians then as well.
Yeah, we were
Guardians of
showing
the
Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 footage before, like, I think they'd only been filming for like 20 days or something. And they were like,
Right.
here's some very early stuff we've got. So yeah, that was a unique experience in
Yeah.
regards to Frozen because we just
I
couldn't.
can see the appeal of it. Obviously, it's
Yeah.
that they have a very specific target market, which is tapping
Yeah.
into, and because the second one hasn't even come out yet, have they?
No, but
They've spent how did that come out 4 or 5 years ago?
yeah.
All that milk in it. Was there an Olaf spin-off?
There
was
yeah,
something.
Olaf's Frozen Adventure.
I've said I couldn't stand that film, but Olaf was funny. Give me a film with him in it, and I'll watch it.
The people were coming in just a few months after Frozen. That when's the second one coming out?
Well, yeah, because that's usually what happens.
Yeah, but not.
Maybe they were caught off guard and they thought, well, we didn't think it was going to be that big, so we haven't really.
I think it was parents coming in sick of seeing the same footage over and over again.
Give
from
me
the
some
kids.
more.
Whereas,
Well, I think they've planned out strategic. They've milked everything out of the first one, and then once the 5 years have passed, right now we'll start milking hints of the second one, and then we'll just do it all again for another 5 years.
Hopefully they're going for quality as well. Like,
Well, I hope so.
Without being too.
Because you've seen all those franchises where it starts off with something gold, and they just think they see the opportunity, but they don't do it right.
yeah.
Just such a shame.
Absolutely. But I mean, we'll see. I mean, recently the second Wreck-It Ralph came out, and I love the first Wreck-It Ralph, whereas this one I just felt like it was trying to sell me stuff.
Right.
It
yeah.
really felt like
For the sake of it. Just,
look what's on the internet, all this stuff on the internet. You can
Yeah.
have this, go on this side, go on that side. Whereas the first one, I was like, what's it trying to sell me? Street Fighter? Yeah, well, fine.
That did have the best end credit sequence though, in terms of Frozen 2.
Oh, it
'Cause
did, yeah, it did.
And now a preview for Frozen 2, and then it's
You click on it, and it's
Ralph.
Ralph singing, Never Gonna Give You Up.
Oh, because that's famously
Yeah, it's
loads of
Frozen.
spoof videos.
Yeah.
Did you see he went on stage with Foo Fighters?
I did not.
Foo Fighters, it's on YouTube. Foo Fighters got Rick Astley up and they performed Never Gonna Give You Up.
amazing.
Wow.
I don't know if it was just for one show, but it's on YouTube.
Oh.
It's hilarious.
He also recently turned up on stage with Kylie Minogue.
Yeah, he did.
Do you know what?
Heel crooner.
I'm not a fan of Kylie, but I enjoyed that set.
Anything else? I think we're wrapping up here. Anything else you want to mention?
Just everyone, just go out and enjoy some good films.
Yeah.
And you know what? If a film's shit and everyone says it's shit, but you liked it, fly that fucking flag.
Yeah, don't go with what the majority are saying.
Yeah.
Make your own minds
And
up.
don't agree with us half the time, unless you do genuinely agree. But it's just opinion.
I feel like one of the biggest taboos is going to the cinema by yourself as well, which is
I've done
possibly
that
the
only a
best.
handful of times, but yeah.
You should do it. You're not there to talk to the person next to you.
That's true.
You
That's
also
true.
don't have to, like, I feel like if I go with someone, I've brought someone to the cinema, I naturally feel like
You're
if they're not-
responsible for them.
Like, if they're not enjoying it, then I'm not enjoying it. You go by yourself, it's complete selfish
Yeah.
immersion,
Yeah.
and you can just take it for what it is completely. And I think that is a big thing that people just don't do. And when people come in the cinema as well, they feel like they have to apologise for that. Or I say, I was coming with my friend, but they can't come now, so it's just me. Oh yeah, no. I've just got a bit of time, so I just thought I'd
that
come by
classic-
myself. It's
Just the one ticket, please.
It's like it's all right.
It's like, just come.
We
Just
don't
come.
think you're going
Just
for a wank.
glad you're here.
Yeah, just fine. Everyone.
Oh,
Just,
best ever comedy films.
what is
I've
the
touched
best
on-
ever comedy?
No, just like
film?
have you got some your favourite all-time comedy films?
What makes me laugh?
Like I always like the Naked Gun.
Yes, yeah. All about them.
The what was it?
All three of those are great.
They are.
Yeah.
Naked Guns are brilliant. Airplane.
Yep.
I'm also like the older ones. Like a lot of the newer ones are just trying to rehash old stuff. I always find.
Sometimes.
Like I like the first Hangover, I enjoyed, but the other two I just thought they were just doing it because the first one was such a success.
I think the second one is a definite retread, but it's really dark and horrible.
Yeah.
But the third one feels like they'd learned from the second.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Took it
Yeah,
in
it
a
wasn't that
different
bad, I
way.
suppose.
But I'd watch that trilogy. I enjoy them.
Yeah.
I feel like I just like stupid comedies. That's what will make me cry with laughter. Like Step Brothers. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Step
yeah,
Brothers.
I like
Yeah.
them
I
putting
love-
the cushions in the oven. I just cry. Just anything like that. I don't want any nuanced comedy. I just want
Nothing that
want
takes
to be,
itself too seriously.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can laugh at something for it being smart or clever, but that's like like a
Yeah,
like
yeah.
A,
Or
but I want to be.
Hot Shots.
Hot
Yes.
Shots is brilliant.
You've not seen Hot Shots?
No,
I
not-
keep
not
I've
all
got
the
him.
way
I've got him. So he says things like, "You can lend it to me, but I won't watch it."
I'm bad at watching films.
I'd have to
I
go
just
round
don't
and watch
really-
it with him to
I
make him
love
watch
watching
it.
films. They're great, but I just never.
If you put it on the side in his house, it'll just sit there until you're next there, not touch, gathering dust.
The second Hot Shots is better than the first, I think.
yeah.
I don't know how they managed it.
Is that the one on the aircraft carrier?
No, that's the first
Oh,
one.
that's probably I think that's probably my favourite.
The second one's the
Ah.
one that's largely a piss take of the Rambo sequels.
Oh yeah, with
Part
when he
two.
puts his thing
Yeah.
on his eyes.
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
I've seen them in bits. Yeah.
Oh, that Admiral Benson, the old
Yes,
senile old
it's,
man who shouldn't be in charge, but he's still in charge. You know, you have to kind of humour him.
It's Lloyd Bridges because he fights Saddam Hussein
Yeah.
in the second one with a fire poker.
And he's scuba diving under the water going into his house. Two things were going through my mind. Will I make it in time? And why did I put helium in here instead of there?
I love it when he comes off. I can't remember if it's the first or second one, but he steps off either a plane or a helicopter.
Oh,
and he
it's the
falls
first
right
one.
down the stairs.
Yeah.
and he goes, I slipped on those turtles, and they go, there was no turtles. So don't you tell me? I saw them. Those two of them.
So we're on an aircraft carrier. And he gets off the plane and he goes, Admiral Benson. And he goes, really? That's my name too.
Yes.
You risked the lives of some damn fine men. That's my job. Oh, they're in the air control thing in the air. He goes, the plane's flying. Oh, Jesus, that was loud. We have these for the sound. And he goes, let's hope they do the trick. Earplugs.
I love him in Airplane where he keeps saying things like,
yeah.
"Oh, I picked the wrong day to stop sniffing glue."
It's the one-liners where sometimes they pass you by the first time.
Yeah.
And like cult films like Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes. Yeah.
I watched that the first time and I just did not get it. I didn't get it, and then everyone was raving about it, and then I watched it with like, there must be something about this film, and I started to pay attention to it a bit more, and it's hilarious. I really liked it. A lot of the cult, there's like a lot of characters in that you didn't pick up on. I missed it completely the first time.
But the mad, so like the fact there's a subplot where the uncle is trying to buy a time machine to go back to his heyday is just insane.
And the karate instructor, when they go to that, and he's like,
Rex Kwando.
Rex Kwando, do you think anybody wants to take a roundhouse when I'm wearing these bad boys? Grab my arm. No, my arm. The other arm. I missed all that. I missed it all the first time I watched it. It just didn't.
I'm not convinced the audience when I first saw it, I'm not convinced the audience I watched it with really responded well, because I could tell because I was the loudest one laughing.
Do you think that's something like you were saying about you take things in differently if you're with other people?
Yeah, definitely.
Rather than when you're on your own.
Comedy, particularly.
It's
If
infectious.
I was sat at home just watching a comedy, maybe wouldn't laugh as much. But when that communal aspect, I mean, have you heard of The Room?
Yes.
So that's a big thing. With
Explain
us at the
to anyone
cinema
listening who doesn't know what it is.
Yeah, so it's the best worst movie of all time. It directed, written, starring a guy called Tommy Wiseau. And
and it's
just terrible. Like I mean, he put a lot of money into it.
It's so bad it's good.
Yeah, but
It breaks every rule of
Is
filmmaking.
Is it even good? Yeah, he's an enigma. So Tommy Wiseau is just this. No one knows where he's came from, and he's this terrible actor, terrible director, terrible writer. But somehow he's managed to create this cult following, or the film has created this cult following, where it's like Rocky Horror, where people go to the screenings and you kind of dress up, or you throw spoons whenever you see a spoon on the screen, or a spoon picture, or like I've met him twice and been to screenings, and he is just like this vampire. Like it's difficult to explain, but again, that's the communal aspect. Like, it's not a funny film. The film is not made to be a comedy, but because it's so bad and because you're surrounded by people who are enjoying this terrible film, you just that pure kind of entertainment factor just from something that is so bad. And I mean, there's
I want to watch it already.
Yeah, there's many other. I mean, there's a film being made called The Disaster Artist. Is it directed by James Franco?
It is directed by James Franco.
So James Franco plays Tommy Wiseau, playing the character. And it's the making of the film. So I would say watch. Oh, I don't know which way. I watched The Room first. I kind of came to it when I was at uni, and you watch it drunk, and you just, it's just nonsense. But Disaster Artist is probably worth watching afterwards.
Disaster Artist, right?
Yeah. No, but that was fairly recent. I think that's kind of what's pushed Tommy Wiseau more into the limelight a little bit.
That does seem like it give him a big shove.
But I love. I mean, that's a form of trash that is just nonsense. Like we watch trash, but at least it tends to have filmmakers who kind of know what they're doing.
Yes, yeah.
Whereas The Room and Troll 2, and
Troll 2.
oh yeah, Troll 2 is another one that's great. Or something like I don't know.
Well,
Something,
you've not seen Joe Bullet yet.
oh no, I haven't seen Joe Bullet.
Joe Bullet is an African-made blaxploitation film from the early 70s that has no filmmaking skill or prowess at all. And there's a lot of violence in it, and I genuinely think they didn't know how to do film violence, so it's just people hitting each other. And it's horrific. It's absolutely horrific. With one of the best songs I've ever heard put to such a bad film. There's a hitman in it who's introduced as a martial arts expert, and you think, right, okay, so you're going to send him because he's a martial arts expert. So what does he do to take out Joe Bullet? Blows up his car. It's like something went missing in between every character's arc. And there's just this bit where he's just at the train yard looking for an assassin, and it's just a very long scene of him looking at trains going past, so they can have this really long, ridiculous song play over this non-action.
Oh God.
Yeah, it's incredible.
There's something in bad films. I mean, especially when whoever's making it is so
there's
ignorant.
a whole community of people just like sharing stuff like that.
Yeah.
This is a terrible film. It's so bad. I like it.
Yeah.
It kind of thing.
It's somewhere before that kind of meme culture, I think,
Yeah.
where and that's kind of now emerged from that. But I mean, I feel like that's a complete reflection of society anyway at the minute. Donald Trump is just a meme in himself.
Yes.
But yeah, that complete ignorance of reflecting life into art and having no understanding. Yeah, I think there's something in it. The people, what did we? I mean, this is just to justify ourselves, but we read an article a while ago that was about how trash cinema is for the intellectual.
It is. Yeah, that is an article we
So-
found. Yeah,
Okay.
because we can see it on a different level than intended. But
Yeah.
but the thing, my argument is usually like, there's a film called Manchester by the Sea.
Right.
It's very deep. It's kind of horrible because of what happens to the characters, and it was an Oscar nod kind of film. It is a well-crafted, beautiful film. No one's arguing that. But it is not as much fun as watching, say, Scanners, where someone's head explodes in the opening 5 minutes.
Well, this is the argument about the bigger mainstream films have to be dumbed down a bit. They can't have too much depth because not enough people will go to see it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you can still have these things. But the people who are turning away from the high art also aren't going to the thing, like watching the things we watch, like that trashy cinema.
Well, I suppose it's more if the majority are going to go and see it, then you're going to have to get your more casual.
It's got to be very plain and down the road.
Which is
but the thing
sad,
with these low budget trashy films is the directors are usually and the writers are usually trying to say something, and they've got subtext and context, and but they're hiding their heavy-handed thoughts in this mad film about an alien invasion, perhaps, or something else. So there's something to say, and the messages are there if you want to see them. And obviously, everything sparks with an idea somewhere. There's got to be some initial thing that got you going in the first place. So yeah, like I say, all film, every type of film has something worth looking at. I just can't shut myself off to any, like I won't like that because it's a whatever. I just can't. Everything's good. Like you were saying earlier, you didn't care for musicals, but I bet I can name musicals you like.
Probably.
Blues Brothers.
I've not seen it, but
You've never seen Blues Brothers? Well, get
no,
that
I've not
watch.
seen Blues Brothers.
Little Shop of Horrors.
Yeah. There
you go. Rocky Horror.
Not seen that one.
South Park the movie.
Yes.
That's a musical.
That's true.
That won the
Won
Well,
best
there's a
song.
certain
didn't
one
it?
like what was the one with Tom Cruise?
Oh, Rock of Ages.
I haven't seen that, but I'm sure. Well, I'll see it at some point, and I'm sure I'll probably like that.
I quite like Rock of Ages because that's my genre of music.
Yeah, it's more towards what I would listen to as well.
All I would say against it is because it's all actors singing. There's a desire to make every single word sound exactly like how you should pronounce that word because they're trained actors. Well, when you listen to Rock Me Like a Hurricane, you know, it's a German band singing in English. So
So they don't pronounce it. They don't
there's
pronounce
a
it,
slight,
but it's more authentic that way,
yeah,
isn't it?
exactly. There's an
Yeah.
authenticity. There's a slight garble to it that,
Yeah.
that just flows with the heavy-handed nature of what you want from like hair metal and cock
Well,
rock.
it's like modern music when they try and take out all the mistakes. Well,
Yeah.
leave some of those mistakes in. Leave it human.
yeah, exactly.
Well, we've
exactly.
been a bit like, I don't know. Do you know Carl Rush Williams?
Yeah.
So like he's my housemate, and he's currently doing his first EP, and been listening over to it. There's something about keeping in those mistakes that makes it more.
Is it acoustic
real.
guitar and stuff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
acoustic,
Well,
yeah.
you can hear a lot of the slides.
Yes,
and
absolutely, yeah.
extra noises, but some people try and eliminate that or try and play it in like an uncomfortable position so they don't make any noise. Like, no, just play it, just feel it, and just play it, and that'll come out on the recording.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's something that you can't lose, especially when you see things when it is art as opposed to something that is going to make money. It's going to be appreciated in that way, even with the mistakes included, even with as long as what you're trying to say is coming across, and as long as there's depth there, then that's what's important, I think. So yeah.
I
So
agree.
your podcast, Penrith Tea Rooms,
Mm-hmm.
is a nod to.
Withnail and I.
Yeah, I have seen that.
Good. We never talk about Withnail and I.
But
No.
We never do.
my only issue with your name of your podcast is if someone doesn't know what Withnail and I is, because when I first looked you up, I was like, that can't be it. Doesn't sound like a cinema podcast to me.
I think our argument is anyone who hadn't seen Withnail and I, we weren't marketing ourselves to them.
Yeah.
It's just one of the greatest films ever
It's
made.
also
for me.
like looking at thumbnails, the font. I thought it said Penrith Farms.
Ah, nice. Okay. Interesting. That's
okay.
Well, that's my fault. I designed the font. The font is designed to look like the poster font from Withnail and I.
Yeah, I get that, but
Oh, no.
I just thought as someone who didn't, they wouldn't maybe a bit
I
confused.
definitely, when I did it, I looked at it and I thought this looks too busy. But we had a chat and we were like, well, it's on a black and white background. It'll be all right.
I do think
I've committed to something and I've
Yeah, but
followed it.
you can change things.
I'm not changing anything. It's been on for so long. I'm keeping it as is.
Where did you get the music from? Your intro music.
I can't remember the website.
Did you get it
now.
one of them free,
Yeah.
royalty free?
Yeah, it was. You buy 10 different versions of the same track, so
Right.
different running times, and you can choose what you want. And I originally bought it for a film I made, and it is in a film. And everyone who watched that film was always like, "Oh, I love that piece of music." And the thing.
Yeah.
And there was chatter to begin with. I think we were going to try and get someone to do something that sounded like the kind of fairground music that plays at the end of Withnail and I.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, just in case that falls through, I own the right to this. So that was...
Yeah, a lot of people do that. It's a good way to do it. My only other piece of advice, going along with how I didn't get what your podcast was from the title, was just I love the podcast. Just keep doing it. Don't like change.
okay. Yeah.
Because as a moderate cinema goer, I value your opinions because you watch films all the time and you probably have done all your life.
That is sadly true.
I think it's good to not have that filter as well.
Yeah.
Which I feel like a lot of
There's no hidden
film
agenda. You're just
podcasts
being
need
honest.
to.
It's just your honest
Yeah.
opinion. The only other thing you should do is introduce the show more at the beginning. Say,
Yeah.
I'm such and such, and I'm such and such.
Oh,
this
you
is a
said
podcast
that.
about such and such. Especially if people don't
Yeah.
get what your podcast is from Penrith Tea Rooms. If you then don't introduce it,
Yeah.
what is this podcast about?
Yeah, you did say we should be introducing ourselves more, and I was like, that sounds
'Cause
big-headed.
I went back to some of your previous ones, and you do it on the very first episode,
Yeah.
yeah.
and then you
Don't-
never did it after that.
Don't swear as much in the first few episodes as well.
Maybe,
Yeah. See, the swearing kind of bothered me at the beginning, but the more I listened, I don't notice it.
It's just because it's not a persona for the show.
No,
No.
that's definitely apparent.
Yeah.
It's just you two being you two,
I-
which is what you should keep.
I am wildly vulgar, and I'd say things off the podcast that I would never say on the podcast because I would get into serious trouble. But it entertains the people around me.
Yeah.
And again, I think it comes back to that thing. It was never made as something that was going to be like out there for everyone, and it was, I think, in the start, kind of just for the rest of the cinema people.
had a
to
bit
be
of
like,
fun.
and then it's kind of spread out a little bit, which is.
But
which
you
is
are out
nice.
there now, and you've been doing it a long time. So
We are, yeah.
if you want to attract more listeners, just make your product more obvious what it is. Because people, you know what people are like. It's like films on Netflix, or whatever. You go, nah. They look at
No.
the picture half the time, read a couple of lines, nah.
No, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
Although I think with the image, we got the.
Well, it
film
works
reel
with
and
the
that,
yeah. I got it from that. Yeah.
But yeah. It's been fun doing it.
Yeah, it has
Yeah.
been. I think
It works. It's a great concept as well to people at a cinema who have a podcast about movies.
Well, that's what won me round in the end to doing it. I think I realised that there's so many film podcasts where it's just some kleppets in their bedroom that
Yeah.
it's like,
You
well,
have a unique advantage
yeah, at least
and a
we've got
unique point of
insider
view.
knowledge. So, and we're actually in the cinema recording. So
Yeah, that I like that aspect of it as well.
yeah.
But-
So
and it works.
I think that's what's kept me from ever feeling that we were ever in competition with anyone, because it was like, yeah, we've got the insider track.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd love
film.
if we can make it work. I'd love to come on sometime.
Yeah, we'd love to
Watch
have
a
you.
film together and then do a podcast.
that sounds
Yeah.
good. I think we could definitely do that one morning or whatever. Or like, yeah, we can do that.
When are your best times? When do you normally find time to do it?
We usually record on a Thursday afternoon.
Right.
Thursday afternoon, I edit Friday morning and put it up Friday morning,
Okay. Right.
which is usually just chaotic because I've got to stick Hey Dougie on for the toddler, and she just watches that, and then I crack on with the edit. Although, like I say about things that are edited out, sometimes I'm aware that there's nothing to edit out, and it just needs the music
The
put on
beginning
the
and the
start
end.
and front.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes it's easy, sometimes
And
it's
people
not.
can find it pretty much anywhere. You can get a podcast. You're
yeah,
even on.
it's on
SoundCloud,
iTunes.
iTunes. Sadly, we don't have the filming element, but I wish we.
Yeah, but it's not necessary. We're just doing it because we can.
Yeah, but I wish we could. That's the difference.
Mm.
I'm jealous of you.
You don't even really need one camera then.
That's true.
But
yeah.
then you would need a laptop and.
But I'd need more time to edit that as well.
That's true. Yeah.
Also, like if we're balancing on a bin, which I know we're not doing anymore, but maybe it doesn't look as.
Well, we use the software called XSplit, which
Right.
takes the audio and the video and puts it together in real time as you're recording. So when we're done, the episode's done. So
Right.
Well-
the video has this audio with it.
That's fair. Yeah. I mean, the
Saves on editing.
cameras I have would take longer to log the footage.
Yeah,
annoyingly. So,
true.
But never mind.
But
We'll
thanks
see.
thanks for coming down. I really enjoyed it.
Thank
No, it's
you.
been really good. Thank
we
you.
finally found a date that you can.
Yeah. Look at it. All this time to build up, and
Yeah.
now we're just about done.
I've really enjoyed it. How long have we done?
3 hours.
3 hours. That's officially our longest podcast ever.
There we go.
Germany.
Wow. Well, cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you.